Welcome back to the Boston Major. One game down, and already we have been treated to some sexy Dota 2. More to come. I am your host, Alex Machine Richardson, and talking of sexy, we've got some new faces on the panel. I say new faces, just one. It's the Iceman himself. Winter is joining us.
Sup, bro?
How you doing, dude?
I'm good.
Yeah, you feeling fresh? Have you had a peek your head around the curtain? Have you seen the crowd?
Yeah, I did.
They are wonderful. They have been making so much noise. They were making noise for ward kills earlier on today. That's how much excitement there is in this room. Now, anyway, what is happening right now? You're sitting there at home wondering why is it? Well, there is a big smile on Alex's face, and that's because we have got a treat for you now. Wings versus EG in an elimination game. One of these teams is going home on the first day of playoffs here in the Wang Theatre, and there's a lot of reasons why that is exciting. To start things off, I'm looking at you, Fogged. Wings. Everybody was expecting big things from them. I want to highlight as to why. I mean, coming off of TI, same patch, surely all eyes on them.
Super powerhouse team. They're very hard to predict, very hard to, you pretty much have to do your own game plan versus them, because if you try to ban them out or try to expect what they're going to do, you're just going to bite the dust. But yeah, they've looked a little bit shaky, and coming into the group stages, I think they had a couple the upsets obviously versus WG, but it did seem like they are just, they're just being Wings though. They're wanting to just try these different strategies, try heroes out a bit, run these things that are a bit unorthodox, and I think that we're probably going to see the same thing coming out here.
Just Wings things. The Warriors were the ones to cause that upset, and you know them much better than I. Winter, did you have a chance to speak to them afterwards, that victory that they knocked Wings into the position they find themselves in?
The only thing I said to them is, can I use your PC for a pub?
That was it.
What did they say?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, rejected. But still, you told everyone not to underestimate the Warriors, and they should have.
The thing with Wings is they always have a specific strat tailored for a specific opponent, how much they understand their opponent. And I think that one of the reasons why they lost to WG is because there's not much they have on the Warriors, and they didn't really pick a good preparation strat for that team.
And a lot of vibes surrounding EG, Ted, was that this could be one of the most successful iterations of EG. I mean, they haven't been doing very well. Fogged knows all about EG not doing well. But for you, personally, I mean, this looks like a good 5 names.
It's a good team. It's a great team. I mean, if you look at the 5 players, like you said, that should be a great team. They actually, according to Liquipedia, beat EG last time they played them in Summit 6, 2-1. So that gives them an edge. But they underperformed against Complexity pretty badly in the group stage. Yeah, I mean, I think losing to them once, fair enough. Losing to them twice, they must be thinking, all right, we've got to write this whole day off, and we're going to come back refreshed, and we've got to be ready.
Would you say Cole overperformed as well?
They
were really good in that.
They were.
They played great.
Z-Freak had one of the standout performances of the tournament so far, but the whole team played unbelievably well. You can't really allow for that. You can't allow for a team just completely outplaying you that you weren't expecting to. But I think against Wings, at least they're going to know what's coming. They're going to be prepared. This is going to be a tough one.
Right. I mean, that was the discussion. Wings, they made a mistake once, didn't make it a second time when they met Warriors again. EG did. We said if it happens again, it's more than a coincidence, and we saw great stuff from Complexity they'll be playing later on today. But now EG have a point to prove. They're on the ropes going up against Wings, and we have to get them up on stage now. So please, Boston, give them a warm welcome. EG and Wings are making their presence known.
Forging their mighty empire in 2016, this team is creating its own legacy. Crowned champions after their emphatic performance at TI6, these Chinese players transcend patches. Experimental when possible, ruthless when needed. No TI winner has ever claimed a major, but they are primed and ready to become the first. Welcome on stage, Wings Gaming. With a world-class player in every single position and a double majors champion as its captain, this high-powered team commands respect. Under the watchful eyes of Coach Fear, new team captain Crit has already delivered silverware to this TI winning organization. Welcome on stage, Evil Geniuses.
Two teams forced to defend their legacy in the first round of playoffs. Defending TI champions Wings clashing with an EG who have got so much to prove coming into this very stage. The Wang Theatre will be home to some very big smiles and some very sour faces as well after this best of three. Gentlemen, first port of call is going to be Wings, a team that you've already described as being the most unpredictable of almost all of the teams attending here. In fact, their captain Y has been quoted as saying, "Dota becomes stale if we play the same heroes over and over again." Winter, when you're looking at those names, who stands out to you? Who's someone you want to make sure gets the attention?
The offlaner, Faith Bian.
How come?
Well, I think he's very, very interesting player, and if you compare him to like someone like Universe is like very stable. He's really solid. Like he delivers. He's very reliable. But Faith Bian is someone that has that explosiveness. He does take a lot of risk, and he does a lot of things that you don't expect.
And how much do we read into the fact, Ted, that they haven't made a roster change? You know, even teams that have won TI have made roster changes afterwards, and Wings stand vigilant.
Yeah, I mean, you know, famously EG with Aoi just won a TI and then replaced him on the team. Honestly, Wings looked ridiculously good at TI. Imperious. I mean, they brushed everybody aside. They looked like when they won. The only times they lost a game was when they just started clowning around and picking like techies and Pudge. So why on earth would you make a change?
Sure.
They're a brilliant team. They're young. They've got some great ideas. Don't change anything. See how it goes. I mean, whilst the patch is the same, especially, the patch has hardly changed since TI. A few tweaks, but nothing major. Stick with it.
I just love that they're never afraid to try, like, I guess you could say try stuff, but they understand the game so heavily that you can look and like sometimes you're like, yeah, they picked Pudge. Like, this is, like, why the hell would they do that? But versus the lineup they're versus, it made sense. Like, especially in that one that you're talking about, they were versus like Void and stuff like this, so they could mess up the initiation, they could counter-initiate in a way. So it's really cool to see that the way that they think about the game, and just because there's so many different heroes in Dota that people just don't try for no reason, and then somebody tries it and they're like, wow, that hero is like completely broken in this situation. They're this team that just is not afraid to try stuff out just because they play a lot. They play a ton. These guys have an immense understanding.
I mean, you say it's random, but is it really random? Like the way they play, like when you look at them, they pick this hero in this situation, you're like, why are they picking it? But you actually don't understand the reason. They have a reason, but you need to watch the whole game to understand.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do love that. And I cannot wait until we do eventually get to the drafting phase, because sometimes, you know, even minds like Fog, like Winter, sit there going, let me explain this one quickly. This innovation from Wings is just on another level for a lot of us here. But word on the street is Shadow did have a couple of words to say with Slacks. They had a little interview to get a little bit deeper into the mind of Shadow. So let's take a look at that before we return.
Hello, I am here with Shadow from Team Wings. How are you today, sir?
现在感觉很逗逼。
This is a serious interview. They asked me to do serious content. Okay, great. All right, well, let's get serious. Let's get down to business. Team Wings. Before, when I first heard of your team, we were walking around in t-shirts. You had just some guys on the block. Now you're millionaires. You've won the biggest esports event in the history of esports. How's it feel?
我们穿的跟以前其实差不多，还是像几个小屁孩一样在街上走。
True. But what has changed? What is different from back before TI. I mean, this is the biggest event since, so I want to know how your life is.
我们换了一个新基地，然后就是换了一个比较好一点的基地嘛，然后生活上就是其实就是生活其实跟往常差不多，只是可能不像以前那么有压力了吧，就是这样。
Okay, good to know. While life has less pressure, certainly Dota does not. You have become the target of every single team out there. Everyone's looking at you and gunning for wings. Do you feel any of that pressure in your games?
有感觉到，就感觉到，我们打的没有往常，不像以前那样好。然后，我们也在找这个版本中的，更适合我们的节奏和英雄。然后还在学习其他强队，就是一边比赛一边学习，然后。争取能，因为这个赛制很容易一轮游嘛，然后，争取不一轮游。
So let's talk about where you go from here. Evil Geniuses, one of the biggest teams in the meta. You feel like you can take them. They weren't in your bracket yet.
我们觉得，我们双方的心情应该是一样的，就是双方想的。就是我们也可以打赢他们，他们也想的也是可以打赢我们的。但是至于赢了之后，上面还有一个接下来的对手应该就是 VP， 然后这是我们最头疼的一件事。
Okay, good to know. So EG had a problem when they won TI. They kind of fell off. They had what we call the TI curse, where they slumped off. And you guys didn't. I mean, you won the next tournament. You won the Beat Invitational, the Canada LAN. How did you prevent the downhill slide after winning that big tournament?
我们夺冠之后，大家先休息了一段时间，然后集合之后，大家又在一起开会，互相就是告诉彼此就是大家今后的打算，然后大家最终确定大家还是想在一起打，然后赢下更多的比赛，然后所以我们就还是像往常一样训练，然后大家一起进步，就是想办法赢接下来的比赛。
All right, though. So yeah, I mean, all eyes are on you. You won TI. You've been winning tournaments. And now you're looking at the Boston Major. Will Wings ever not be an unstoppable force? Will you guys ever be defeated, do you think?
从 TI 之后参加的南洋杯和那个 NAB 邀请赛上，我们就感觉非常不错，然后感觉大家就是还是很有感觉，就很有信心，觉得自己还就是我们的队伍还是最强的。但是在 TS6 上，然后我们遇到 VP 之后，然后首先是当时我们打的不是很好，然后就是对方的状态和细节，就是他们都做得非常好，然后就是让我们有一种打不过他们的感觉，然后就感觉 VP 现在是最强的。
All right, well, thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure to watch you guys. Your creative meta is always exciting, and can't wait to see what Wings has in store. Literally no one knows, so should be interesting to watch.
No one knows what Wings will do apart from Wings. There's definitely 5 people minimum that know exactly what's coming up. These guys have got a lot up their sleeve, and especially now that they are in elimination mode. Conceding a best of 3 here does send you home. We've already lost IGV, and now another team is on the chopping blocks. Will it be the Chinese side, or will we see the Western EG go home early? And that is, of course, where we take this next. That was Shadow, and now we venture to talk about Evil Geniuses. Not only how they got into this pickle, but we also have to address where some of these shortcomings may be coming from, the source of them, Fogged. A lot of eyes have been on Crit and on a lot of the kind of, I don't want to say question marks, but this is a big step towards captaining a roster like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big difference in like the way he has to play as well, because on OG, he was kind of the 5, but it felt like they gave him a little bit more space, just the way that they play. They picked a lot of defensive stuff. Now, of course, like him stepping into the captain role is a big change-up. He's playing with very big names as well. Like I don't know if maybe he feels a little bit of pressure from them. I don't know how much help they really give him. He, of course, has Fear to back him up too, which is definitely a big help, but he has huge shoes to fill, and they've been struggling a bit. Like Ted even said, like he talked to a couple people, like a couple of them like surrounding after their games, and they didn't feel great. Like they had a very horrible day basically when they played versus Cole. Cole took advantage of that and defeated them. Now they're playing versus Wings. They're put in a very tough scenario, and how are they really going to recover from it?
I mean, it's very different for them with Cole, though. I think it's more difficult to captain a team like EG because everyone is so good. Like you need to have the balance of the captain asserting a certain amount of dominance and letting your players do what they want. And for a team like Cole, they are like very, I think it's dictatorship. Swindle does everything, like he does all the call. They are very different teams.
So that's actually a question then. It's raising into question, is there the necessary respect? In fact, we were just saying this on the desk. Is there that necessary respect and acknowledgement that, Crit's cool is gospel, or is there perhaps there is a little bit of a friction between them? Ted?
Possibly. I think the main thing is that the expectation at EG is big.
Sure.
Like you're one of these powerhouse teams, you should be delivering. They're expected to win things or at least place very highly. If they go out here, they had a bad group stage and then they went out on day 1, that would be bad. So there is pressure there. It's how Crit responds. He's got great players around him. I'm sure he has faith in them. How much faith do they have in his ability? That's what we'll have to find out.
We'll be finding that out in the draft.
And how much do they I guess you could say how much do they, I don't want to say respect, but I can't think of like a better word.
Take it.
Because I just can't think of a better word for it.
Don't feel like you're treading on eggshells. You can.
No, it's because he's playing with these guys who multiple TI winners and stuff. Like he has a lot to prove, and these guys are super friendly together. Sometimes as the captain, you have to be the bad guy. Is he really able to be the bad guy when these guys are all such close buddies with him?
But that's why you need the coach. The coach be the bad guy, so it doesn't affect the relationship between the players.
So they need Fear to just
crack some heads.
Well, no, just to be that voice, the voice that says. One of the best roles a coach can play is telling someone when they messed up. It seems to be this recurring theme that if your teammate tells you messed up, already there's a problem. If a third party tells what happened and why it was a mistake, it does take a lot of the pressure off. And one of the players who has been known to have a hot head but also to do a whole lot of damage in game is none other than Arteezy, and he's hanging out with Slacks. We're going to hear what he had to say ahead of this game.
Hey guys, here with Arteezy, the one and only from Team Evil Geniuses. The one and only. Trying to hype you up. That was unfair.
That was super
That was terrible. I'm sorry about that. Don't worry about it. Anyway, welcome Arteezy, Boston Major Man. You're here. You made it. EG. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I managed to sleep 11 hours today, so...
What?
Yeah, I actually been sleeping 6 hours every day, and then today, 11 hours, so...
Well, I guess you needed it.
But I feel way more tired, so it's not
Yeah,
good.
that's oversleeping is worse.
Yeah, that's way worse.
I believe they call that a coma, not sleeping.
That was good, though.
11 hours. Okay, good. Good to hear, man. Okay, so I just want to talk about some general stuff with you. EG, we haven't had too many chances to catch up with that team since Crit really joined in an interview setting. So tell me about how you're feeling. How's this iteration of EG versus the others?
Since I've been on EG quite some time.
Yeah.
Many times,
A
actually.
few times, in
A few
fact,
times.
yeah.
I don't know how to separate them from each other, but I think this one's a bit more of a diversity of people. And everybody is more willing to be more responsible for things rather than one person taking responsibility. So each person is responsible for their own actions rather than let's say we screw up the draft. I think everybody thinks it's a team thing, so we'll be all right, we're not thinking this through together. So I think all of the blame is spread evenly this time around. It's pretty nice.
How's it feel without PPD there? Was he a big part?
No. I mean, he was a very big part in like how EG drafted and stuff. But I guess this one's way more evenly just spread.
Sure. You seem to draft what you guys want to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about this patch. Who do you hate playing? Who do you dislike?
Oh man, I really hate OD right now. As much as I hate saying it, because it used to be my favorite hero.
Yeah, I interviewed you at Summit 4. You said, I wish OD was in the meta. I miss him.
I shouldn't have said that. I actually, the feeling of getting astraled is super demoralizing. I can't imagine being a mid player in this patch. Every game, you just get astraled. Or you astral somebody, so I don't know, maybe neutralizes.
Yeah.
But me, being a carry player, if I get astraled, I get so angry. It's so annoying. And then you hear astrals across the map sometimes, you just get triggered.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's like PTSD, man. You hear
It's
that
so
stuff.
annoying.
It's not good. But so you're hoping that gets removed? I mean, we got a patch coming up soon.
I just hope that maybe they just remove astral completely.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
That's a great
Replace it with
change.
something else, maybe the reverse of astral.
Yeah. Terrarial freedom.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
All right, great. Okay, let's talk about the major a little bit. EG, there's a lot of hopes for you guys coming in, and just talk to me about the experience so far. What's it been like team morale-wise?
Team morale-wise, it's been obviously a little bit down. We lost to pro team complexity, so kind of sucks because I think we scrimmed against them a few times and we felt pretty confident.
Yeah.
So it was a bit shocking to us ourselves to lose to them twice. Feels like we definitely didn't respect them as much as we should have. So we took the hit now. We're playing against Wings, and then if we win, we're gonna probably play against VP.
Right.
And then probably OG. I haven't seen the other side.
Right.
So it's this is the time to give it your all, I guess.
Come on, but I mean, you guys have always been a behind team. You go lower
so
bracket.
we lost lower bracket though.
Yeah, that was technically the lower bracket.
Yeah, so now we're reset, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys, you're a little demoralized, but are you still confident that you can still get this done? I mean, this is a huge task.
Yeah, I think we can do it for sure. I think, honestly, personally, I'd rather play against, I wanted to play against VP somehow, the first round. Obviously, I didn't want to just lose groups or anything, but I wanted to play against VP really badly because personally, I don't know, this is some anime stuff, but I feel like whenever I play against a really good team or really good players, I play better.
Yeah.
So maybe it's some subconscious disrespecting or subconscious respecting.
Sure.
I would have liked to play a top team, and I guess we're playing Wings, so it's really good for me. Maybe it sucks that we lost to Cole and whatever, but end result is everybody's in the same place, so single limb and whatnot.
There you go. I mean, single limb.
Yeah.
I only ask because you seem to have this very strange connection with the Dota 2 community, whereas everybody seems to love you. Reddit loves you. Twitch loves you. Yeah. I mean, it's strange. It's like they look up to you in a way because you're a man that represents what they wish they could be. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just a strange thing. Sometimes people watch pros just to learn stuff, but they really have this deep connection. Not with just Arteezy. They call you Artur.
Wow.
Your first name, dude.
Whoa.
So
First name basis.
First name basis. So I mean, what does it just feel like to be kind of this person in the community that is just everyone is always looking towards, is always trying to emulate in a lot of ways? Do you feel any of that pressure, or have you not even thought about it before?
I've actually never thought about it, to be honest.
I
have no idea.
Oh,
I don't know. I just do me, and then I don't know, it just ends up working out.
And that is why, my friend. That's why they're all over you. Well, we're gonna see Arteezy doing some more of him coming up in EG's further matches in the Boston Major. I'm sure we're gonna see you guys go pretty darn far. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.
More light shed upon EG and specifically Arteezy. I love that. Great stuff from Slacks, and you can see him there getting ready, get his hands nice and warm for what will be one of the most testing games they all have played so far here in Boston. Already stating he wants to play against the good teams, and you're playing against reigning TI champion. That's certainly not a bad place to start, Ted.
No, but also what was interesting was he was talking about the draft, and we were saying crit drafting, but from what he implied, it was certainly more of a group decision than they sit around and debate it. Now, what I think is interesting is Slack said, oh, so you guys just play the heroes you like to play? And he was like, yeah. And I figured that's kind of sometimes when you need a captain to say, no, you're not playing that guy. You're playing this guy. Oh, I hate playing that guy. Tough.
Right.
It's the right pick. So I think it's interesting. It maybe makes the players happier and more relaxed, but sometimes you need someone to say,
Yeah, Winter, we were talking about this during the interview. I asked you, is this common, having a full kind of 5-man discussion and not having a kind of voice of authority throughout the draft? You said it can be.
Yeah, it depends on the team. Some teams you need like a captain like, no, you're playing Darks here this game because whatever hero that he wants to play is bad.
Right.
Like if I'm an offlane player, my favorite hero is Morphling. I'm going to tell my captain I want to play offlane Morphling, but then I need the captain to tell me, no, offlane Morphling sucks ass this game.
That's what you need. You need that voice. Oh, I like that idea. Well, I mean, perhaps the likes of the offlane are going to be told exactly that. You talk of them. They were our featured matchup actually, and two names you were very excited to talk about: Universe and Faith.
I think the stats kind of says it a lot. Like Universe, like you said, he's a very consistent, like just reliable kind of guy. He's a little bit more farm heavy than I would say than Faith Beyond is, but Faith Beyond is a very aggressive, active player. He's always trying to make stuff happen. So I think you're just looking at that, you can tell that that's the situation.
Look at the average deaths.
Yeah.
Having more deaths as an offlaner might not be a bad thing at all.
Mm-hmm.
It means that it either means that you're making a lot of mistakes or you're taking a lot of risks to try and make plays for your team. And in Faith Beyond's case, where he's always trying to do something extra, get the extra kill for your team.
Exactly.
And he does it incredibly well.
Yeah. Whereas for Universe, he's like, I'm just gonna do this. This is my job. I'm gonna make sure I don't die. I get my farm, and I'm gonna do my job in the team fights. I would call him a team fight specialist.
Now, Fog, were you at TI6 by any chance? I believe you were.
I was there as a spectator.
Yeah, you were watching. And
I was watching.
Did you catch that EG Wings game? They played in that losers bracket. It did go all three, and EG won it. So most recently, there was a head-to-head seeing EG pick up that win. How much does that affect this gameplay? Do you ever sit there and go, we've done it once, we can do it again? Surely.
Maybe like super in the far back of your mind,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's probably not what these guys are thinking at all right now. Like I think RTZ's interview kind of said it too. Like we're playing versus such a great team. This is where we kind of like step it up. Like we talked about like disrespect, respect manner. This could be where it really shows.
I'm incredibly excited to know where our predictions go now, because I know already, we've seen both of the interviews, we've heard the confidence from both of the players, and Ted, you're already looking quite conflicted.
It is a tough one.
It is.
Don't start it, Ted. Let's do it opposite. You start first, and then we'll go this way.
We have to start and come this way.
Don't start with that idiot. He'll spoil everything. Go on then. Yeah, Alex, you take a pick. Or are you going to go Fogged, Winter, me, and then you can pick?
That
No,
makes
you.
Graphics Man incredibly
gonna start on
sad.
me?
Yeah.
You start on you.
EG.
Okay.
It's NA, the home of EG.
Sure.
I'll say EG.
Home soil.
USA,
You
USA.
just wanted the crowd.
I wanted
to go
the
with
crowd.
Yeah,
woo,
he's got his
All
panda
right.
costume on because he's pandering. That's the joke.
I'm wearing
All
a blue
right.
tie as well, blue and all that. You know, EG.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Ted.
I'm not a massive fanboy. I'm just saying.
Well, Winter, what have you got? You going to tip the scales?
I'm really bad at predicting before I see the draft, so I'm just gonna say Wings because they are the favorites.
Before the draft. The draft will change everything. We'll be coming to that in just a moment. But going Wings, so one apiece. Fogged.
Ooh.
Yeah, you have to just
Little
check.
bit. Well, I was going to say Wings 2-1.
You calling it for Wings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though I'm
2 for
wearing
Wings.
some blue, I think it's going to be a really close series, but I think Wings is going to take it in the end.
Having faith in the Chinese.
Yep.
Faith in Faith Beyond.
Faith and faith.
Faith
yeah,
and faith.
There you go.
And I guess just because Fogged and Winter are saying Wings, it makes an awful lot of sense to go Wings. One for EG. Actually, yeah. I've done it.
I'm happy.
All right,
I'm happy.
Ted.
Look at
All
you.
right.
I stand alone.
Oh, I don't like that. I
You
feel-
always like being with Ted. Now it's
I wanted to join Ted. I've been with Ted for the start. I'm sure, however, the predictions would look a whole lot different when we took a look at, say, social media, say, the audience. They have been given a vote. Look at all these EG signs. They're everywhere.
It's almost like we're in America.
It's almost like we're in America. Almost. But, I mean, it's been very fun. Do you want to have a little guess at what the social media percentages were?
I think it's going to be pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say 60-40.
Yeah, it's
cool.
58-42 coming in from Twitch. Twitter usually goes a bit more towards
I think it's gonna be
the
70-30.
Western teams.
I'm sure it'll be
Oh,
the
Ooh,
I did not expect that,
bang.
actually. I thought it was
It's
going to be
close.
super EG favored.
51.
Yeah, it's close.
Gosh.
I mean, it is. You couldn't say 100% either way. Like,
Of
you know,
course.
Wings didn't look fabulous in group stages. EG didn't either. So it is going to be a close one. It's not like this is Wings at TI where they just looked unbeatable. So I think 50-50 is pretty good. And I've flipped it for EG, so yeah.
Are you going to change your mind now, Alex?
Absolutely not. No, I'm with you till the end,
Absolutely
Iceman.
not.
I'm with you till the end. We're going to skip happily into the sunset as Wings win this one. Calling it now. What are the win conditions, though? That's what's so interesting, is when you know, before the draft has come out, what are the win conditions?
You have to destroy the enemy team's ancient, Alex.
Thank you so much.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent
Thank
point,
you.
Ted.
Yeah, so, but who has to come online? Who has to underperform? I mean, how do Wings take this victory that you've predicted? A good draft? Is that where it started? Some
I'm
sparring
always
in the works?
very worried about them losing them to themselves when they try something that doesn't work. Like against DC, remember that game where they pulled out the pudge where it didn't work?
Yeah.
You don't like the experimentation.
Sometimes I don't.
But sometimes they even
But sometimes they win because
sometimes they win
yeah.
when their draft doesn't. When we're like, yeah, they can't take this game late, and then they just take it late anyway. Like there was one at the summit when they were playing with when they picked like OD Timbersaw cores, and they were struggling super hard. We're like, man, if this game goes late game, they're gonna struggle. You know, they're playing versus like heavy BKB cores, blah
Right.
blah blah. Somehow they it's like 65 minutes in, and they're still making the fights happen. Like these guys are team fight specialists as well in their own manner.
Yeah, that's the thing great about Dota. A same team plays a same set of lineups, but because of different item selections, the result becomes different.
Mm-hmm.
Like every small decision and every small little item change is very, very big in the game.
Okay, keep our eyes on it. The draft is just moments away. Now, Mr. EG on the end there. Yes. Did that RTZ interview fill you with confidence? Is that where this prediction came from?
It was just standard Artur. I mean, that's what he's
Standard
like.
Artur.
I like that about him. He's like that pretty much all the time. He's a very laid-back guy, and I think that kind of stability and Universe is a nice stable guy. Zai is as well.
He's an emotional guy.
Who?
You call him a laid back?
Who?
RTZ.
No, he's not. He's
He's
chill.
a rager.
How is he not?
He's chill,
He's
dude.
super
Hang out
emotional.
with the guy. He's super chilled out.
Super
Come on.
chill until
I mean,
the
a
Dota
rager in
starts
games is
getting
Yeah,
different.
until the
that's
Dota
pub games
until
as
the
well.
Dota starts.
Yeah, once the Dota starts, he's all action. But he's a chill guy normally.
He gets tilted from Astral just from hearing it
Yeah,
across the
but-
map, dude.
Yes, that's true. But I think they're all nice guys. Like I think it
Yeah.
would be easy to be on a team with those guys. So
Who would you call like a mean person then?
on any team,
Yeah.
You've just thrown him under the bus there.
I don't want to name any names.
Machine.
I wanted
Say
it.
machine.
I wanted it.
But being mean might be a good thing.
Can be.
Yeah, you need someone, like I said, you need someone to tell you, don't do that. Come back. We need you to do this.
Yeah, you need that commanding voice.
Fair enough.
And maybe
I'd
those-
be scared of Puppy if he was my captain. I
Okay.
would be scared of Puppy.
He'd keep you in line.
Yeah.
That's fair.
The puppy Pyrian synergy.
We're back.
What a hat.
We're actually back to SD first pick, even
get
from this
it.
team.
Oh, it's Moose.
oh,
Moose
my
down.
God. Oh, I
Yeah.
see what you did there.
Yeah, look at that.
I see. Still, the draft is underway. To recap, bye-bye Bat
Oh.
and bye-bye Timber.
And
alongside
Drow
that,
and
Drow
Axe.
and
man.
Axe.
I was going to say the Timber was mostly because of the SD pick. Like when you want to open with an illusion-based lineup, like Timber is really good at that, dealing with that. And Wings responds with a Witch Doctor. How effective is the cask against the disruption illusions? Do you think they picked Witch Doctor because of that?
That's actually
Usually we see the Warlock pick. I think EG
Yeah.
does it a lot because of the
We've
Fatal
seen that.
Bonds.
yeah. I mean, it's a safe pick, right? It gives you like a bit extra sustain, more physical damage.
But you don't kill the illusions as
don't
quick
kill
as
the
a Warlock.
illusions.
Well, we'll see, but
Yeah.
like you said, it's really good in the lane. And they have some sort of like a massive heal combination.
Yeah,
there with-
Witch Doctor and Jug.
Yeah.
Yep.
They need an Omni Knight as well. Get some more heal in there. Come on.
Survivability.
might hint into like maybe a push strat, like just early predictions, because just by looking at the first two heroes, it gives you a clear idea of what the team has already planned, against their opponent.
Do you think it would be good to do that kind of push strat into an Alk though? Like I kind of feel like you'd be,
that's precisely why you want to push against out. You don't want a game to draw late, but
Yeah.
I see your point.
he's
because
going to get all that
pushing
moolah.
into acid spray is difficult,
Yeah.
but you do have like the healing ward for that.
Yep, true.
And then they've run the Juggernaut in like both positions. Like mid lane, obviously, he can have easy kill potential on Alk if he's in a bad position. You just spin on him and you can almost kill him just with that.
Well, we did get a prime example of when Alk comes online in our previous game, right? We got a
Yes.
good demonstration of that, perhaps EG a little inspired, a little spurred on. I want to also highlight that we still haven't seen, like, it was the most common place was Magi throughout the entirety of the group stages, and we have yet to see it slip through the draft since.
In the second phase, usually teams, they have a lot of time to prepare against their opponents and they want to do something that you don't expect. So that might be one of the few reasons behind not going for the usual picks.
The basics.
Yeah. But I would say mostly it's because they probably had something already in mind, like they already prepared something.
Is that an Ursa ban? I can't quite see
It
it.
is.
Yes,
Yeah.
versus the Alchemist, it just makes sense. It's a very good hero throughout most of the stages versus well, until like late game, obviously. But in the laning phase, you kind of just dominate him if you're matched up versus him.
What do you think about if Wings goes for too much heal, then EG goes for like the Ancient Apparition, the Iceman pick?
With Shadow Demon though, right?
Yeah, it's a bit terrible.
It's
with
a
Shadow.
bit terrible,
but
yeah.
it'll be really good against those kind of heal strats. And I think EG picked it was it Summit? I think it was against the Alk. They picked Ancient Apparition against the Alk to stop the regen.
Yeah,
that's
that's very good against Alk, but yeah.
I think those were versus OG.
Yeah, that was OG actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was OG.
Well, you think they take it themselves as like a block pick sort of thing?
Yeah, but like Fogg mentioned, it doesn't really work with SD. It's pretty bad with that dual support. Sometimes you don't only consider, this hero is really good against the opponent, but you need to think about, how does it
How
work
do we lane this?
our lanes. So Wings, they're banning out again offlaner. It's very difficult to deal with, like all those pesky pressure lanes, Ogre, Sanking, because you have a Juggernaut, you have a melee core, you don't want to deal with that kind of harass in the lane.
So removing all of that abuse. Have Wings shown their hand yet, Winter, or is it still very close to their chest?
It still comes down to the second phase. What do they choose to go for in the third and fourth pick?
Morphling ban?
Yep, the count, like one of the better heroes against Alchemist. Was it Newbie that did mid morphling? Yeah, they did mid morphling against Alchemist. You have you step morph, so you have a lot of armor, you have a lot of damage. So when he casts the acid in the lane, you deny the creeps.
I think they had a drow as well too.
Maybe, but still very open on that draft. Like doesn't really seem anything. It's a very good offlaner. I think against Alchemist, because you need to pressure him. You don't want an offlaner that farms too much. You want an offlaner. Oh, great, guys! I have my level 6. I'm going to run into the jungle, contest the stacks, kill the Alch.
Gives you like a little bit of a pair with the Witch Doctor too. We used to see like the Skywrath combo and everything, like Death Ward with if somebody's inside of the cogs.
It's
a very easy way to isolate and just burst somebody down quickly.
Now, Clockwork was a bit of a polarizing pick in the group stage as well, didn't we? We saw some incredibly strong Clockworks and some.
There's something I want to talk about. I saw Crit playing a support Alchemist just a few days ago in a pub.
Okay.
And SD Alchemist, if you really want to do like support Alchemist, SD support to start with the disrupt and into the stun.
Into the stun?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And with Soul Catcher and everything,
I just saw him playing that in a. It wasn't a few days ago. Actually, it was before my flight to Boston.
Do you think it might be a bit of a?
I don't know. It's just like
baiting them in here and then they give them a switcheroo.
When you open up a draft with Alchemist, it's like it's either you are trying to mislead the enemy into thinking you are trying to go for this ultra late game, and then you pick the Alchemist for a support position, which could be played really aggressively in the early game. So it might be a chance that will happen.
Interesting.
Definitely a possibility.
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel that EG against a team like Wings have to do drafting like that, where they're kind of next leveling it a bit?
Okay, maybe
Tree?
no. Tree is their
maybe not.
secondary support right now. A defensive support, like I mentioned, when you pick Alchemist, you're going to expect a lot of pressure from the opponent. So having the living armor and the nature skies to run around to place wards and alleviate the pressure, especially the smoke. The Trian's job here is to make sure that he breaks the smoke, because the enemy is going to smoke and try to contest the farm, and him standing around being invis to break the smoke, or even just to die for it is a good thing. Yeah,
it's a very like Wings-esque thing. At like the 4 to 8 minute mark is their crucial time to make the movements with the supports toward the offlane usually.
And not only that, like Trian has a disable that goes through magic immunity, so he can actually stop the Juggernaut from spinning, TPing. So all in all, it's a very very strategical pick for EG here, getting the Tree and Protector.
Gives them like disruption can be used in a defensive or aggressive manner. Tree can kind of be like that defensive or aggressive hero in kind of a way too.
Kind of mostly defensive.
Mostly defensive though, yeah.
So the Sunstrike with the Clockwork, pretty good combo there.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
So basically, I said that you kind of you will see their hand right now. Nothing too special. Like it's just like very straightforward. They have a very good combo with the Clockwork and very good kill lanes. Like Witch Doctor cast into Sunstrike, Clockwork trapping the supports if he catches out the support in the cogs. Good lanes, just good lanes right now.
Good lanes and Wings not necessarily throwing the crazy curveball we were anticipating in the draft so far.
Very, very safe picks for sure. Nothing like too crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing with single limbs. Teams tend to be safe.
Yeah, but perhaps surely though, if you are the team to take that risk, to take that gamble, you can find rewards.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you say this team is actually playing not to lose. They're not playing to win because it's single limb.
That was like a poem. Yeah, that was nice. I like that.
Thank you.
Oh God, just so much insight.
Iceman.
I love it. The Iceman. This is your new name, by the way. Screw Winter. It is now Channel It Bin Iceman.
I feel like So EG, RTZ Lifestealer. I feel like that's we saw it like 3 or more games or 4 games during the group stages for them.
I'm a little worried about the Lifestealer though. He has a pretty bad matchup against in the team fights Clockwork plus Witch Doctor because of the Death Ward.
The Death Ward.
You can get trapped in the cogs and you can die to the Death Ward.
They have a lot of ways to just kite him around too. Like if you open wound Juggernaut, he just spins away. They have a lot of different
Not sure
heal
if I
too.
like this pick here too much for EG, but then again, because you have a mid Alchemist, you need a carry that's more active. He can get a 1 item or a small item or 2 and join his team to fight.
That's a happy fan. He has a Wings logo and a Juggernaut mask, and he's got the pick as well.
Yep.
Happy fans all around.
I mean, for EG right now, the last pick, they probably need a vehicle for the lifesteal to gank. So like still Nyx? Oh, okay, no Nyx.
You could
No more
do
Nyx.
Invis Tree where he creeps up on
Yeah,
someone.
that is actually true. Something that teams don't, do a lot. But I know PPD uses that a lot when he was back on this team. So they ban out the Nyx, and for EG, they want to ban out a secondary support. Oh, there's a lot of good options here.
So Wings aren't going to be too hamstrung by any ban here.
I mean, they've got a really good, solid lineup. Like the Wings lineup is good. They've got.
They could still maybe do AA on
They
Wings.
could, yeah.
For the Alchemist?
Yeah, they actually could because they have Clockwork.
They have Clock, good
AA
lineup.
plus the Sunstrike would mean that anyone gets hook-shotted is pretty much dead unless you have a Disrupt.
Yeah, it seems pretty good.
Also, the Cogs plus the AA, the
Yeah,
Cold Feet would work
it's
really
really,
well
really
as
good.
well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really roam. Oh, there goes the
So
AA.
they go for the
also.
Slaughter. That's just like kind of a Slaughter
Okay.
Lifestealer
Iceman,
vehicle.
maybe Iceman pick, Winter Wyvern. Pretty good against the Lifestealer and the Slaughter combo.
And the Lifestealer, I mean, the Slaughter has been so big, I think already. We've seen a lot of good Slaughters in the tournament. He's great for that reinitiation. They need something to jump, and I think Slaughter's what you need for that, for sure.
Just one more left then.
Yep, the 4-0, like I mentioned, maybe the Wyvern would be, the Cold Embrace would be great against the Lifestealer, Slaughter. They
Wyvern
need
seems interesting, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Or maybe a SB. Do you like an SB here so you can actually disable the Lifestealer through his... Whoa, they're going... That's the
Shadow
push.
Shame.
So they go for more
see
push.
that last pick
Yeah.
there is a push strat. Like they open up with a push strat and then they waited till the last pick.
Right to the end.
Yeah.
So I said there was no curveballs, and now Shadow Shaman comes out.
The push strat.
The push strat.
I feel like we haven't seen him almost at all.
Yeah.
I can't
I
remember.
don't think we
the
have.
last time I saw him,
Wards.
he's hardly seen
They have a lot of physical damage. The wards and the death ward against the Lifestealer in teamfights, that is actually
Yeah,
really, really
it's
good.
clever. Very
Yeah.
clever.
Look at
Interesting.
this. There's just smiles across the desk as the last pick comes in from Wings. It's the first of a best of 3. One of these teams is going home. I have to keep reminding you, this $3 million Dota Major, and one of EG and Wings is going home by the end of this series. The first of the series begins now, and it's your casters to guide you through all of the action. Millennium Capitalist, you better enjoy this one.
Oh, Alex, we certainly will. A best of 3 single elimination. One team, TI5 champions, led by 2-time major winner Crit, facing up against the reigning TI champions. Both seemingly should be the most confident they should ever be, right, Ben? But haven't both of these teams been brought down to earth recently by the group stage? Both EG and Wings got that check.
Yeah, they're right in the middle there with the second and the third seed, so not falling too far, but not coming out on top. Did you wear blue today on purpose?
I did not, Ben. Did you wear blue on purpose?
No, I think it's maybe our subconscious.
All right, we'll
telling
see in
us.
the bias in the cast what happens, Ben. Wings and Evil Geniuses, certainly no short of fans on either side, but declaring bias aside here, who won the draft, Ben?
The Alchemist's first pick is a little bit risky, and it seems like Wings look to punish it with a well-disguised push with a decent amount of late game just in case it doesn't go all their way. They didn't all in for it, so I like that a lot. So I say Wings.
Just because of the fact that, I mean, there wasn't really any other, could you think of another support hero that give you the same kind of surprise push than Shadow Shaman, a hero that's been long out of the meta for quite some time?
I don't think so, but they could have gone the other route, which is jungling, playing greedy, and then
Yeah.
hoping to outscale the Alchemist, because Alchemist plus Lifestealer isn't the most formidable late game. You just have to survive like the 20 to 40 minute period of the game.
So presumably we're going to see a game plan of Wings of playing very single target pickoff heavy, leading with initiation, being able to find that numbers advantage, and then being able to push from there with the Shadow Shaman. What's Evil Genius's game plan? Because they've got some fighting heroes of their own, right?
Stallwith Tree, kind of very similar to what we saw IG Vitality do versus the versus Virtus Pro. Try and draw the game out until Alchemist gets really, really strong. But the problem is, I think the Shadow Shaman is a trump card to the Treant Protector. Treant Protector is good against slow and steady tower damage. You want to be able to heal up over minutes, but Shadow Shaman Ward is just really good single target, focus on tower, no chance of living armor heal if it's dead.
He's the epitome of an all-in push, right? A full committal, we're taking this tower right here, right now.
Yeah, just one hero though. Their whole lineup isn't really based around that though.
Yeah. The rest of Evil Geniuses, they do have some fighting heroes of their own. Lifestealer and Slardar, you said try and delay as much as possible, right? But what about that Lifestealer Slardar? When do they really come online? When is their point going to be?
Generally, whenever the Lifestealer gets Echo Saber armlet, or
Echo Saber armlet.
more likely than not, Slardar gets his Blink Dagger.
Yeah, the Blink Dagger's the most important thing here, right? So in that case, how do Evil Geniuses, how do they ensure we actually get a Blink Dagger from the Slardar in time?
A tree makes all your lanes stronger.
Yep.
So I don't know how they're going to do all these things. Secure Alchemist farm, win their lanes, and don't lose towers. That seems like a pretty tall task. I guess you want to limit the Shadow Shaman's ability to get to level 6, but they don't have the strongest lanes. Like Shadow Demon plus Lifestealer is okay. Slaughter's not the best laner by himself, so it's going to be a very tough early game from EG. One thing that I didn't particularly like about EG's draft is that they already revealed with the Alchemist at the start, which makes me seem like they aren't confident in the way that they're going to win their drafts. And versus Complexity, I think they did lose a lot of their drafts. So instead of just trying to hide anything, just like, okay, this is what we have, this is our strategy, we play it well, we're going to pick it very early on.
Do you think that really plays into Evil Geniuses just recognizing what their own strengths are? Because I've long looked at Evil Geniuses as being one of the more efficient teams on the map. They like to be able to play a little bit greedier. I mean, after all, you look at their offlaner, Universe, he is one of the more stable offlaners out there, but he is not the most aggressive. He is not necessarily someone who will play super sacrificial. As we saw from the stats earlier, Faith Beyond is the one who will always play much more aggressive, is willing to die to create space or initiations or openings for his team. So do you think that plays into that mindset that EG are just like, we're just going to try and out-efficiency them, and no hero is better at it than Alchemist? So in a way, we put them on a timer, right?
I would agree. I think for the most part that's true. The only thing that I think is a little bit strange is that it's their mid player that's the Alchemist player. So, and Sumail is widely regarded as the most aggressive by far on Evil Geniuses. So if he's not creating space, there's going to be not that many people creating space. Slaughter, played by Universe, isn't over aggressive, I would say. So I just worry that they might not have enough people running around the map doing stuff.
What about laning fights wise? Because I want to go back to this Slardar. Is his Blink Dagger so essential? Do they have to run a dual lane with the Train Protector? Because Shadow Shaman, he is, we haven't seen him much, but he is a terror against solo offlaners, right, with that Shackles?
They can do what IG again did, is sack the Train Protector. If he dies, not the biggest deal. He can still Living Armor tower up as long as it doesn't die, and have the Slaughter Iron Talon. But then again, that doesn't really seem like their style. They like contesting their lanes, and Universe doesn't AFK jungle that often. Although I do see him get Iron Talon a fair amount.
All right, Ben, I wasn't going to do this on the main stage.
Predictions?
But, oh, yeah, predictions time. Yeah, we've solved enough. Let's go. Total number of player deaths at game end.
We can let the crowd
choose. You want to get on in this? 0? What is that? That's not an answer. Come on.
No, it's 41 to 55 or 56 plus.
I mean, you're all about stats, Ben. I know you're quite the efficiency man. You're quite the numbers man. What do the numbers tell us here?
I think 56 plus.
56 plus. You think this game is actually going to go late enough for that many kills?
Wings has the highest kill average in Wings has the highest kill average in this tournament, and EG has had the longest game in this tournament. These two factors combined, I'm down with it.
All right, we're ripe for a high amount of kills this game. Player with the most kills at 10 minutes, though.
You don't let the crowd choose, okay?
That's true. Crowd, what do we want to see? Is it Faith Beyond? Clockwork? Oh, well, all right, we're going into the game. Never mind. Starting things off with some early TPs. Arteezy's already going out to his lane, see if he can get himself a nice laning ward. Innocence doing something similar here as he approaches the mid lane, and the rest of Universe and his boys are all going to be following up in the bottom lane. Faith Beyond is already smoked up as well. Wings trying to set up where exactly they're going to be headed to be able to snipe away this Alchemist bounty rune. Of course, we know Evil Genius is already stationed up at the bottom lane, but Shadow's in a good place to be able to stop this smoke potentially. And he's also a hero that is unlikely to die to this combination. If he gets disrupted and they try and go for the stun, he can just spin, but maybe they can still surround him enough. They can actually lay this trap down. Shadow's going to be caught and surrounded by two heroes on both sides. He's going to be forced into spin here, but Universe is going to hold off from the stun. They're going to be able to body block him. Sai right in his face. They're going to be able to hit the stun, and that'll be the first blood. Evil geniuses indeed.
Universe didn't even stun there during the spin, knowing that he would spin.
Yep. They lay that trap out beautifully. They now have presumably the advantage to be able to pick up this bounty rune for the Alchemist. Doesn't look like Wings are going to try and rotate to that bottom lane. They'll give it up to the Alchemist. A 2-time win here for EG, certainly.
Just the start that they need. That was his positioning on Shadow was kind of, he thought it was really good because you're in the fog, so he would pop the smoke, but they went They went straight down and then straight left. They didn't go diagonally into the jungle, which is kind of what he expected, and it ended up costing him his life.
Universe actually picking up the Iron Talon here, hoping to be able to secure himself a bit better farm out of that off-lane position, as his Blink Dagger, as we said multiple times, is all important. Meanwhile, there's double wards up here at the top lane. Wings actually blocking out that pull hard camp there to be able to deny most of EG's experience until, of course, Crit will quickly sniff that one out.
And on the flip side, we see the Witch Doctor actually get the Observer Ward
Universe
on the bottom lane.
is maybe done for here. They could try and follow that up. They're going to eat for the dive. Innocence is going to be forced to back out after a couple of tower shots there. Seemed like Shadow, he gave up on that kill relatively early, went back to his lane, continued to try and get that perfect CS. Meanwhile, Sumail is matched up against Invoker, Blink's Invoker, and Exort Invoker at that. How much pressure is Blink really going to be able to put on this Alchemist who's farming away?
With the Alacrity build, he can actually contest the CS a decent amount. Normally, you have a lot of trouble last hitting against a Quelling Blade Alchemist. But with Exort and Alacrity, I think he can contest fairly easily.
Yeah, quite this huge boost in damage. And he's actually going to be going for the very early Ring of Aquila as well, which will help maybe disrupt Sumail's CS, or at the very least make it so the lane isn't so easily pushed in. It's having a last hit under tower right now, which is rather hard. Faith Beyond maybe caught here at the top lane. They're going to be able to lead with the disruption, quickly surround him, and Faith Beyond throws Cogs out, but it doesn't matter.
Look at Y in the mid lane, though. He's eyeing that chicken, and it's coming straight down. And at the bottle.
This is big. Yeah, Courier's done for. It tries to go up to the trees, but there's no path available. That is a bottle down, ladies and gentlemen. And Sumail is going to be missing that one.
On top of that, we see Wings already at both runes. No chance of a bounty for him, so Sumail's growth will certainly be stunted a little bit. And on the bottom lane, looks like Ice Ice has invested another Sentry Ward, so he has de-ward EG Sentry Ward. They had 2 wards blocking that spawn, and now they'll finally be able to pull that Hellbear Smasher camp.
Pulling doesn't seem to be too necessary, though. Universe is full-time Iron Talon jungling with Slardar. That's a little bit of a rarity. Slardar is not the best jungler out there. Most of the time, people try and make that Slardar work in the off lane. But seeming as Evil Genius is not actually doing much of an aggro duel situation, they're facing up against a Shadow Shaman. It seems like he's just given up on the idea of laning in the beginning, at least.
The trade-off is you get Shadow Shamanist levels, which I think is one of the biggest things that you want to prevent this game, is prevent him from getting his wards down. So now they've finally swapped Treant Protector down on bottom, and as you mentioned, Slardar into the jungle, and it's up to Ice Ice. How fast can he get level 6, or can they wrap around on this Treant Protector and get a kill into a tower push? That would be ideal for them. And the Invoker pick also kind of works pretty nicely into their push strat too. The Force Spirit is very, very nice. Also, he's an early BOT buyer, so that also helps when you're trying to put pressure on all the lanes. So
True.
It's a standard pick for them, but it works very well into their strategy.
Covers a lot of potential gaps that Wings may have against his Evil Genius's lineups. Zai's trying to be as disruptive as possible, barring that. At least pick up some early experience where he can get those higher levels of living armor. Sumail kind of needs it. Meanwhile, the top lane, they're going to go once again onto Faith Beyond. Oh, there goes the paralyzing cast. That one's actually going to hurt quite a bit. Crit is in some serious trouble. They're going to be able to run him down quite easily, but Arteezy, he might be able to get Innocence on the other side. Faith Beyond fends the back with the Cogs, but unfortunately, our poor Witch Doctor is still stuck in the trees. Meanwhile, they also at bottom lane managed to get that Treant Protector. So 2 kills end up going the way of Wings with that surprise rotation and still shutting out that off lane.
Yeah, Y knows exactly what EG were trying to do in the top lane, and now that Lifesteal is out of mana and there is a Clarity Ferried over from Crit, he can get some good XP out of this lane.
And because the Treant Protector is bottom and they see the Shadow Shaman, or excuse me, the Shadow Demon rather, up there at the top lane, it seems like Wings are going to go for a smoke. Now, they hesitate, thinking about wrapping around behind the Treant Protector would certainly be the easier kill. Then they move towards left, think otherwise of it. The Alchemist still not level 6, but they opt for the easier one. Instead, Zai is going to be played at the mercy here of 2 Wing supports who easily set up with a Sunstrike and a couple of Shadow right clicks. Zai is down for the count, 3-3, 5 minutes in.
They knew their game plan from the start, though. I think they figured that the Treant Protector was going to sack this lane, and he's just died twice already. And most of the times that we've seen Zai die in this tournament, I think we actually counted it up during the group stage. He died like 70 times or something absurd. in the 9 games that he played, but most of the time just there saving his teammates. This game's a little bit different. I guess he's just trying to pump up Alchemist's farm by creating space on other sides of the map. But now Universe is back.
Faith Beyond thinking that maybe he can get a kill somewhere here in the jungle. Crit is going to be kind of stuck inside these cogs, and Sunstrike is going to be coming in as well, and Alchemist doesn't even bother trying to help Crit. He's just going to try and do a little bit of ring around the rosy around the trees, but it doesn't work. Sumail, well, he bows his head in unbelievable grief that his support is down, but he says, Worth, I've got more space as the Alchemist. At least that seems to be the EG plan.
And Wing says Worth, they're ahead in net worth at the moment. Even despite the first blood and the bounty rune going Alchemist's way, and things are just starting to get more grim as their supports find their place around the map when it doesn't really seem like there's any good place for them to be.
An invisible tree, taking away that tree, and the tree protector is forced away. It seems like we saw a lot of action in the side lane, so we didn't actually get to watch that mid matchup too much, but it seems like Blink around level 3, level 4 really picked it up in the CS. He just seemed to deny Sumail so much. Sumail started off with an early lead, but he very rapidly started stagnating out, and he's going to have to find the rest of his farm in the jungle, it seems.
And not only the farm, too. With 20 denies, he was very slow in getting level 6. When they made that smoke, they were considering going on the Alchemist in mid, and because of that, there's just added pressure from EG. Are they going to gank our Alchemist before he's level 6? And now that he's 6 is fine, but they still were kind of unsure whether or not the gank was going to happen on bottom or in the mid. And Ice is still getting his levels. He has Arcane Boots as Shadow Shaman. I've seen far too many Shadow Shamans just get boots and then just feed for the rest of the game, and it looks like he's kind of set up for success here. And even the Shackles and the Sunstrike is a pretty potent combo versus weak supports. And there's just so many different ways that Wings can kill EG, but the Alchemist train is rolling as he just keeps on taking out these stacks over and over.
It really does seem like a lineup that is going to force Evil Geniuses to group up quite a bit. Oh, Innocence managed to snag yet another ward. Evil Geniuses beginning to look a bit blind on the map now, as their only ward is currently that one that is protecting Arteezy's farm up the top lane. But Wings have not gone for that rotation, not at all. Not really needed, right? That bottom lane, they're getting plenty of experience out of it. The Shadow Shaman is almost reaching that level 6 territory. They've already pushed out the off-lane tower. Everything seems to be going pretty well in this stagnant form for Wings in the laning phase.
And a lot of dewarding going all around, giving it to the Alchemist for some extra efficiency. And now Wings kind of unsure about how to tackle that jungle. They know that EG is pretty light on vision in that area, but they don't have any vision of their own. However, Faith Beyond does constantly throw out rocket flares. Why? In the wrong neighborhood.
Yeah, he grabs the Illusion Rune, but he's quickly going to be gobbled up by a bunch of Evil Geniuses heroes. Living Armor will help protect Crit, for now. There is a Sunstrike ready to go. Maybe we'll see Blink try and throw it out to catch him. Crit not going to be stumbling into that one. Will manage to sidestep that one away. So
Ice maybe going for a kill here. He is level 6. Thinking about maybe a easy Fork Lightning.
Yeah, if he actually gets the wrap around, throws down the wards, gets a Shackles, that could be both a tower and a kill, but it seems like Evil Geniuses are just going to give up their mid tower. That's a pretty important tower that's already down by the 10-minute mark.
That's tower number 2, mind you. And this is way earlier than EG would hope for. Like the Shadow Shaman getting level 6 at 8.5 minutes and already taking a tower down. And every 2 minutes is just going to be the same story for them. And EG, their space to farm is slowly getting crushed.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their basic items that's kind of needed, right? Alchemist needs to be able to pick up his armlet, and then his Radiance. We need a Blink Dagger for the Slardar. Lifestealer doesn't really come online too much until he has that vehicle to be able to find a quick initiation onto one hero, and that again comes back down to Universe's farm. It seems like Evil Geniuses will not be ready to fight for quite some time, and it seems like Wings will have free reign of the map to be able to take what objectives they want.
And looking at the top, looks like, well, I just tried to place a sentry ward. It's right next to the observer ward, but they don't actually have vision up that hill. Maybe a flare will scout it out, but they suspect that something's fishy in that area with the way that Y died last time.
Kind of waiting for that flare. Okay, not going to be heading up to that area. Either way, Shadow's getting some free damage onto this tier 1, but Evil Geniuses are actually grouped up quite a bit here in the bottom lane. Looks like they're going to run 4 into this safe lane of Wings. Try and catch Ice. Make sure he doesn't get an early Blink Dagger or anything like that. Crit sets it up with the disruption. The TPs are actually going to come in here. Faith Beyond is going to be the leading TP. All ready to support us down, but he managed to catch Arteezy inside of the cogs. Now the TP in from Y completes, but he can't really stop this raged up Lifestealer, at least not yet anyway. Zai provides a free escape for Arteezy, who actually pops out of that invis to be able to slow down Shadow with the open wounds. Evil Geniuses covering their tracks as they get a support kill and force Wings rotations.
I like the makeshift Nature's Guys onto the Shadow Demon. Kind of, not as good as a Blink, obviously, but still like pretty good in terms of their initiation potential.
Yeah.
And Ice was in a pretty good position. He was like right next to the T1 and not really that close to the fog or the trees, which would have been the angle of attack that EG came from, but that was desperately needed. And now it looks like they're perhaps trying to expand their territory, trying to farm those few camps on the Radiant side of the map so that Alchemist can get his Radiance up as soon as possible. And 11, 12 minutes and counting, and still won't be a relic in sight.
Well, smoke for smoke, it seems. Wings are going to be able to catch Zai, it looks like, or maybe not. He actually gets outside of range of Wings as Ice is unable to get that second disable of Shackles into play. And EG walk away for free. In fact, if they want, they can actually play aggressive now. They've seen two heroes at the top lane. Are they going to try and play aggressive towards bottom? Arteezy's got the Infest ready to go, even if they don't have the Blink Dagger.
They don't have Blink, nor do they have Nature's Guides. It's going to be a very difficult kill.
Nature's Guides, it kind of served as the pseudo Blink, right, to be able to give them those initiations, but...
And Ice might not have to commit his wards onto the top lane, depending on where EG thinks that the rest of the team is, but he will for the safety. And now with no one up there, they have to be worried about where exactly EG is. So Ice backed off from the tower, so clearly he expects that they're somewhere in the fog roaming around. But where exactly?
Shadow Shaman seems to work out in so many levels here. It gives them a lot of pushing power, but I think in some ways, more importantly, Wings, they have so much single target pickoff, right, that Evil Geniuses have to naturally group up quite a bit, and this leaves lanes exposed. One hero by himself can go to a lane, push it out with those wards and take a tower, and there's really very little risk there. It's just a support showing up. Even if you try and stop him, the wards may still go down. He may still take that tower, and you're committing considerable resources to stop a push that and kill a hero that is ultimately disposable for Wings. Their cores are still farming away.
I completely agree with that. And on top of that, they have a lot of tools that they really haven't used too much that they can kill EG with. So like even aside from the Shadow Shaman just showing us one, like the Clockwork, we haven't really seen a hook shot into Sunstrike. There haven't been any opportunities for it, but EG have to play around it and have to group up, as you mentioned, like maybe defensive disruption to save some heroes. They want heroes in front of Sumail so that they can pop some smokes just in case they are smoking into their jungle. But Wings are very content with playing around the Mass Serpent Ward cooldown, and all three T1s have been knocked down, whereas EG have yet to get a tower of their own.
Yeah, maybe it's this Shadow Shaman that gives them this patience, but I see this and I see some reminiscences into our previous series where we had IG Vitality very much playing grouped up constantly, and VP made somewhat of a mistake trying to force initiation onto that dire secret shop area, and it turned it into a nasty fight. Here, Wings are just playing way more patient and saying, fine, if you're going to stay grouped up, we'll just play an economy game too. Even if you have an Alchemist, we're still getting all of our mid-game cores online, and we're going to hit real hard starting about 18, 20 minutes.
Or now.
Or now. See the smoke up? If they can actually get the right kind of pick, maybe we can see Roshan go their way.
And if nothing else, they will probably be able to get some wards down close to their Ancients. And their cores have also built Greedy, the Midas, which is very common in the Evoker, but a less common pickup is the Iron Talon on the Juggernaut, so he can see it out of his farm. If you're not going for a Battle Fury, it's and we know that Shadow likes to go Maelstrom a lot.
Yeah.
It will speed up your farm, and they need it to contest the Alchemist.
Yeah, sure enough, they get some really aggressive wards. I like that ward right behind the tier 2. That gives you a lot more information about incoming rotations than the normal secret shop wards would have given you. So they're going to be able to have perfect information to be able to take this Roshan no problem with the help of the Serpent wards.
And the information that they gleaned there was that there is no Blink Dagger on to the Slardar, and they know that they're waiting for that. They need to get like 1 or 2 picks with the Infest Bomb so that they can, ideally on the Invoker, I would say, but he has the Aegis the Immortal. Juggernaut going to be very difficult if he spins in time, but any of the cores would be a sufficient target for the Infest Bomb and that would just buy them precious, precious minutes with the early game not going exactly the way they wanted it to, and all the objectives going the way of Wings. So 4 objectives down for Wings, and net worth is almost exactly at 0.
I would say even committing that initiation to the Shadow Shaman would be worth if you could stop him from laying down those Serpent Wards if Wings go for another push. But we have Shadow Shaman about to pick up a Blink Dagger of his own if he wants one. He's sitting at 1,900 gold.
Yeah, he's just stacking, farming peacefully, and knowing that EG is just not going to do anything. Who's actually going to jump him at this point in time?
Right now, Faith Beyond is covering Shadow's tracks here at the bottom lane as Shadow farms aggressively. Blink is going to be the one to push back that top lane that Evil Geniuses were kind of poking at. They finally have the Radiance here for Sumail, and the Blink Dagger is just about to be picked up by Universe, but I'm sure this timing is going to be a bit recognized by Wings. It's 16 minutes into the game. You know that Slardar had an Iron Talon from the get-go. Can't be anticipating a Blink Dagger too late in this game, that's for sure.
Yeah, and with that Observer Ward that you pointed out earlier, if they retreat up to T3, they definitely know it's a smoke, and that ward is pretty hard to de-ward. And they know that Faith is around there somewhere. But he has
Re-up
a
on the
Force
Nature
Staff.
Skies. But yeah, Faith Beyond with the very early Force Staff probably isn't going to be caught anytime soon. There's the Blink Dagger for Shadow Shaman, so now we can have that real quick jump onto a tower, lay down those Serpent Wards, and there's really not much opportunity for EG to be able to put a stop to that. Their counter initiation may just come a bit too late. Zai is going to be able to spot out Faith Beyond if he comes into this area. Almost right-clicks him, hold on to it. He's trying to set this trap. Faith Beyond realizes, uh-oh, hey, hold up, I'm stuck here. What's happening? Disruption's going to be laid out. He's going to try and force staff himself out of this one, but he's already been hit by the stun of Universe. Can't get the cogs down in time. He's trapped 2 heroes inside with him, so Evil Geniuses will be able to execute that gank onto the Clockwork. Force staff or no, EG find the pick.
Close timing. The Radiant used scan right on top of him just to make sure that the Treant Protector was there. But at the end of the day, it's just a Clockwork kill. And Alchemist didn't have to get involved, so that's pretty nice for them. And it should have been the Slardar Blink reveal, although I'm not too sure Wings were able to see it in time. More likely than not, they did. However, two supports are sitting there. They have been scanned out.
Oh, and Universe is going to be able to run into both of them. They're going to be able to get Innocence real quickly. Ice is going to be next target. He got the Serpent Wards down. The Overgrowth is going to be able to stop Faith Beyond from being too disruptive. They're trying to finish off Ice, but he gets so much done. He basically soloed up Arteezy by getting those disables off. Now Universe has to try and TP away. He will be successful. No disables coming out there. Faith Beyond looking for the +1. They already got the Lifestealer, big win, but unfortunately, he can't actually find anybody else. They have no counter vision. And so this Nature's Guise will allow everybody to be able to walk away. Zai just kind of chilling out on top of Wings.
They're looking for the Alchemist. He still had his Radiance on before he went Invis. And
oh, if Alchemist pops out
they
right
know,
now.
They know the creeps are burning.
Yeah, they know he's around here. They've pinged him out. But the disruption, and maybe trap going to be set by EG. They lay out the unstable concoction, but Faith Beyond is well out of danger. And Evil Geniuses not wanting to make a commitment without their Lifestealer.
No Serpent Wards up for this particular engagement, and it seems like a somewhat of a risky push, but they do have the Aegis onto the Invoker. No Omni Slash either on the Juggernaut.
Tier 2 dropping fast. Evil Geniuses, if they want to be able to defend it, they're going to have to form something now. Looks like they're just going to give it up. Maybe not. Glyph and Living Armor will help it out. EG start posturing forward, testing whether or not Wings want to try and force this Tier 2 tower down before the Living Armor really gives its heal.
Ideally, you want to kill Shadow. Shadow does not have the Aegis, and he's at half HP. If you can get a Blink Crush on him, that would be the perfect way to start on the fight. But his healing ward's down, might back off and wait for that cooldown. The Observer ward behind the T2 tower and on the Dire neutrals might be enough for them to set up a potential game.
Back to farming it is for Wings, as they're going to go ahead and team clear.
Who stacked
through
that?
an Ancient Stack?
I don't even know who stacked that.
It might have been Blink with his Forge Spirits.
Yeah, that's some efficient play right there.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't really have a good hero to be able to do it, but if they could do it as a team, it works out pretty nicely during this little bit of a dull period. The Aegis is going to be reclaimed, and maybe Wings aren't ready to get aggressive just yet. They are keeping up pretty well in net worth. Despite facing up against an Alchemist, the net worth is exactly even. They've got 2 heroes above that 10k marker, both Blink as well as Shadow on their Juggernaut, and Invoker have quite amount of farm to be able to work with. Meanwhile, we have Sumail sitting almost at 14k, has the Radiance, has the Boots of Travel, and soon the big split push Alchemist will be online. So Wings need to be able to keep up the pressure. They're going to lay down the Serpent Wards here on the mid-tier 2. Evil Genius is already smoked up looking for their initiation. And they're going to try and wrap around perhaps from behind. Universe is carrying RTZ inside of him right now. Their tier 2 is about to be dropped by Serpent Wards. Nobody really wants to come forward, so instead they just deny. But actually, they get the jump. They already managed to get Blink. The Force Staff comes out from Faith Beyond, but it's not going to be enough. Crit is going to be dropped on by a Meteor. Just almost saves himself with a disruption. Not quite there. Still, though, a support goes down in exchange for the 2 cores of Wings. Wings get the tier 2 tower and will manage to get everyone else out to safety.
They didn't have sentries on that north side, so they were all just under Nature's guys. And that was a good 30 seconds after the age that expired, and this is part of Tree. Like, if Tree weren't there, they would have just been in and out within 5-10 seconds. But because the Tree was there, they had to stay around way longer just to make sure that the tower was going to go down. And finally, a big fight going EG's way.
You've seen the way that the Serpent Wards worked. It seemed like Wings would be able to get a pretty decent positioning for any initiation just because they can sit back and let the wards do the work. But as you said, no counter ward being placed on that left side.
And now Zai has a gem on him.
All right. Well, that's definitely a great pickup because at this point in time, you need to stop as much of the aggressive vision of Wings. Make it so that your Alchemist still feels comfortable farming away, who happens to have an Arcane Rune in his bottle, so that'll speed things along for his Chemical Rages, and if he gets the Manta, we'll see the beginning of that Naga-esque split push that Alchemist is so famed for at this point.
With the Arcane Rune on top, it's going to be especially dirty.
Yeah.
And another thing that Gem does is it allows his teammates to move forward with the Nature's Skies, because that's been the most key spell, I would say, for them to start off these engagements, both the one on the bottom lane where they ganked the Ice Ice, and then the middle T2 where they started off on the Invoker. So Wings have to consider about how to deal with this Nature's Skies. They have Sentry Wards on 3 heroes right now: Clock, Ice, and Innocence.
Somewhere on the 2nd floor here at this beautiful theater, PBD is looking down on Zai and smiling. 6-10, 22 minutes in right now, a 2,000 net worth lead for Evil Geniuses, but that's not much by Alchemist stakes. He's about to really get out of control, though. The Manta is up. We're soon going to see the progression into Octarine, and then the constant TPs, the constant illusions spammed out with Radiance. So Wings got to start picking up the pace a little bit. They've already taken the tier 2 at the top lane, but they committed the Serpent Wards for it. And that means they won't be able to threaten high ground as easily, so Evil Geniuses feel comfortable taking a tier 2 at bottom in exchange.
Or they could turn up their farm game, which probably seems more likely at this point, judging by the way they played it up until now, just being very patient, waiting for each Mass Serpent Ward cooldown and matching Alchemist farm 1-for-1, hopefully with a Juggernaut. Juggernaut is, not that far behind the Alchemist, but still a decent amount. He just picked up his Maelstrom though, so he's probably hoping that will help him catch up in net worth. And I guess it's probably at that point too we need to start talking about the potential ags for Alchemist. It doesn't look like either team's going to break out anytime soon. I guess one is the Treant Protector. I think he's probably, I don't know. Shadow Demon is also pretty important. So either one of those two would be pretty good. Shadow Demon if they think they need more team fight potential, and Treant Protector if they just feel the need to be more elusive around the map.
I mean, considering the initiation is all important for Wings, right? Because they have this clockwork to be able to set up a Sunstrike and just in general be able to find the numbers advantage. Maybe vision is the most important thing here for Evil Geniuses, especially with this gem out. They've already controlled a decent amount. This relatively fresh ward is going to be able to see some of these rotations of EG. Wings are beginning to try and set up around this ancient area, making sure they don't get jumped on at any point in time without recourse.
And I think Wings has to be considering getting a gem right now, but they know if they get a gem right now and they lose it, they just will get crushed in net worth. It's already swing EG's way with 4,000, and a gem would just make their lives absolutely miserable if they lost it. But at the same time, they are kind of getting the life choked out of them as EG take control of the Radiant jungle. They set up 4 Observer Wards around the map. Roshan is up. They have Slardar on their team, so a lot of potential opportunities for EG.
Smoke straight into the heroes. They're going to be able to find crit immediately. That's going to be first one, but at the same time, they've already taken a support in return. Universe and Arteezy find their initiation onto the Witch Doctor. Now Sumail's going to be coming in full out, unstable concoction, but Universe is going to be caught. Omni Slash, long range from Shadow's going to be able to rip him apart, and now it's going to be left with just the 3-man of Evil Geniuses. And Sumail, he gets snatched up. Ice Ice going to be able to grab him with the shackles, lock him inside with the cogs, deafening blast over the top. Clockwork disappears, and now Wings not feeling as comfortable as Sumail and Arteezy turn and man fight. Maybe Faith Beyond not catching with the cogs the way he intended to.
Yeah, he also doesn't have a blade mail, so he can't really just stand there and tank like you would normally see a Clockwork. And Clockwork's actually perhaps going back for a Midas himself. I see a Gloves of Haste in his inventory, so going for the late game, it seems. That was a really nice tornado by the Invoker. He tornadoed the Alchemist while he was concocting, and then as soon as he dropped, he exploded upon himself. And Wings thought they could take that fight with the superior positioning and the shackles from the fog onto the Alchemist, but just not enough damage at this point to take him down.
Man, that was nasty. You talked about, hey, they don't want to get a gem. Like, there was so much potentially Wings could have gotten out of that smoke, right? Take away the enemy gem, get Roshan themselves, prep for a high ground push. But instead, Evil Geniuses, they keep their gem, they get Roshan for themselves, that Aegis and hold, and Wings are going to have to decide whether or not they want to give more space to an Alchemist who already has so much with the Radiance Manta Octarine all up and good map control on top of that, or do they want to fight into an Aegis?
Mm-hmm. And they're not getting the kills that they want. Like half of Wings' kills are on crit, and it was no different with that last smoke. They don't want crit. They want Sumail, ideally, Arteezy, I guess, second most, and third most probably the Treant Protector with the gem.
This is Crit's happy space right here. When you've got a full-out Alchemist and you can create yourself some illusions of your own, this is where the support finally starts getting gold. Still, though, it seems are going to try and match Farm.
Yeah,
they're trying to pick up the Hand of Midas. They're trying to keep up with Jug and Invoker.
Their early game did not go like quite as well as they expected. I guess their mid game rather. Mm-hmm. After conceding the Roche, you have to accept that it's going to go much later than you want. You're not going to be able to knock on the T3s or the Rain Directs anytime soon because of the stalling potential of the Octarine Alchemist and the Shadow Demon Illusions to match. So you pretty much have an unending supply of Alchemist Illusions coming out. They do have the Mjolnir on Juggernaut. Mm-hmm. Pretty good.
So we've got to talk about it. I mean, at this point in time, they didn't manage to get second Roshan. It doesn't seem like Wings is going to be able to go for the endgame scenario anytime soon. So we're beginning to see a full top-down Alchemist. We're beginning to see a pretty farmed Lifestealer who kind of, you could say, reaches a peak in the mid-game, later mid-game as well. Do you think Wings could actually stall out and potentially take late game against an Alchemist, a Lifestealer, and a Slardar with a Nature's Prophet, or a Treant Protector on top of everything else?
Right now, I don't think they have a choice. Like, what's their better option? Shove up high ground, potentially lose 5, and then just lose the game. I think that's a much higher probability happening rather than taking it late. So they might not be the most comfortable in their late game, but it's definitely the best option that they have, and they definitely are gearing up for it. So they want Clockwork to get more items with the Hand of Midas, maybe like a Scythe looking, 50+ minutes in the game, maybe a Ghost Scepter in the meantime, maybe some armor to help his team out. Vlad's would even be pretty useful for them. Juggernaut, he has his farming item too. They have the Midas on the Invoker, and Shadow Shaman can do a decent amount of work on his own. I'm not sure what Shadow Shaman want to get, maybe like Scepter, I suppose, would be pretty good for him. And it also depends on whether or not EG can actually split up their farm, because you mentioned Alchemist like getting very, very fat, but he only has really 2 good Scepter carriers. Slardar doesn't have an Axe upgrade. Lifestealer, his upgrade is probably amongst the worst in the game, at least in this scenario. So
You say that now, Ben.
What's he gonna do?
Just you wait.
Have the Alchemist inside of him. Free Radiance.
Could be. We have no idea. Maybe we'll see a farmed up Alchemist inside a Lifestealer, inside of a Black Dragon. I don't know. It's 30 minutes. They're going to push down one of the last remaining, or in fact, the last remaining Tier 1 tower that's at the top lane. Looks like they're just going to keep on going. Wings, are they going to formulate a defense here? It seems like it. They're beginning to rotate Shadow from the mid lane. across here. A pushback of the Tornado from Blink will manage to keep some of that damage at bay.
And Alchemist Illusions are scouting out to see where the supports are. Alchemist, there's just illusions running everywhere. And it will stop Blink Daggers, it could potentially stop a hookshot, it will at least scout out the Clockwork so that they'll know which angle he's coming from. And if nothing else, whittle them down so that they're easier to kill in a later team fight. And they aren't even fighting heroes right now, just illusions constantly. And there's just no great way for them to kill them.
So in which case, if Wings, they're not down to fight, what are we thinking? What is the remaining items for Evil Geniuses to pick up before they want to go high ground? Because they just kind of topped out on the Alchemist. He's got the Shivas. He can start switching. Yeah?
It's about they need kills on heroes, because Alchemist is like pretty decent at pushing up high ground, but I think with a Clockwork in the game, it makes it infinitely harder, because you can get isolated from the team, you can get like hookshot and then cog backwards into the team. You can also isolate him from the rest of his team. So like you can't just siege with the Alchemist as his hero, and then the Alchemist illusions, they don't do that much damage to towers. So if you do that, it's just going to be a very, very slow siege, and then the BOT Invoker as well as the Shadow Shaman can apply pressure to the side lanes so that you won't be able to keep that up forever. So they need to wait for Wings to make a mistake, and Wings need to wait for later and later game so that Alchemist is kind of topped out, and after he gives 2 Ags, then what's going to happen for him? BOT2s, Moonshard, those are all marginal upgrades, and then maybe switching out for like a refresher here and there, but he is kind of 6-slotted, can replace his armlet for something else that's also just a side grade for him. So the net worth looks really nasty if you're looking at it from Wings' point of view, 11,000 in favor of the Alchemist, but as of this point, it's going to be...
There's the initiation. Linken's is up on Blink. That's going to be able to slow down some of this. They managed to get the cogs, separating Arteezy from Blink, and he's going to be able to get some stuns outside. He's immediately blown up thanks to some help to the Shadow Shaman as he tried to come across for the Overgrowth. Sumail's going to be able to come forward, slow down these heroes. Nice 2-man crush out from Universe. That slows down Shadow's retreat, but they can't quite keep up with him. Maybe it's going to be Innocence who dies instead. Arteezy's Rage not going to be wearing out too quickly. He goes ahead and fist. Finishes off the kill, and it looks like Ice is also going to be caught here. The amplified damage, he gets ripped apart by Evil Geniuses, and there is only one buyback here on the Clockwork, so Wings may just have to give up a lane of Brax, if not more.
And maybe the Alchemist or the Invoker can stall them out with a barrage of tornadoes and EMPs and ice walls, and they will actually not be able to take a lane of Rax off the back of 3 kills, and that Linken's really saving the Invoker as well as the 4 stabs from his teammates.
Yeah, great item choice, and he just picked it up a minute earlier too. So it cost them a buyback out of Faith Beyond, but he's kind of playing off that hand of Midas anyway. It's not like Clockwork is a hero that is desperate in need for items. He's still going to be an effective hero with just that 4-staff.
And I think this period in the game is where EG is the strongest. They need to get some structural damage done. And T3 I don't think is enough. Maybe with the next Aegis they can actually break some racks, but I think like every point of gold for Alchemist from here on out is probably like 0.3, 0.4 of 1 gold in terms of how effective it is for him.
All right, well, first giveaway here. Crit patiently waiting along. But
yeah, they could have killed the Juggernaut last fight, let's say, if they had a Shadow Demon Axe. So I think he's definitely a worthy candidate, if not the most worthy candidate for the Axe.
All right, so the beginning of Eyes in the Forest. Get that aggressive vision down. I mean, they already have some good wards they're going to be able to see thanks to some of these laning wards. Well, one of them's probably about to die here, but they are seeing the rotations of Wings just with wards. Now it's going to be so much harder for Wings to be able to push out into EG without being already seen and spotted out, and defenses set up by EG with these Eyes of the Forest just permeating the whole entire map.
Yeah, and anytime any hero is alone, Lifestealer, Infest Bomb, that hero's dead. I guess maybe Invoker can survive a Juggernaut if he has really fast fingers, but anyone else I think is just going to be dead.
I think the really important thing is that you routinely pointed out, hey, the Alchemist, he's going to start topping out what, you know, all that extra gold, like what's it really going to do for you? It's so important that the Lifestealer gets progression in his farm. And despite having to sit inside Universe half the time with these Infest ganks and everything, he still managed to get to a pretty decent peak here. He's got an AC, a Desolator, an Armlet, and he has the Vanguard now, which is going to be going for that Abyssal Blade, which will give him some serious lockdown power and just be able to eat one hero on the onset of a fight. Now he's got an Aegis as well. Seems like Evil Geniuses, their real big peak is about to be now. The Overgrowth goes down, but
I don't know if Wings have enough to stop this impending fight. The Lifestealer is closing in on Abyssal Blade. There is Ags number 2 on the Shadow Demon to deal with the Juggernaut. So Juggernaut's kind of useless in the next fight. You can get off your Omni Slash, but aside from that, you are not moving at all. It's also another tool for them to break the Invoker's Lincolns. Like, who cares if you expand a charge of the Demonic Purge? No big deal. And they also do not have enough side lane presence to stop this push from coming. So this fight is brewing on the bottom lane. They have one Observer ward up, but I don't think their net worth is going to be enough to stop this. They need to be able to kite as long as possible. Or
they have to get
kill
creative,
the
right?
Yeah.
They have to get a little bit creative with how they're going to be able to take this fight and how they're going to be able to split push and force Evil Geniuses back, which is why Ice has been sitting on the trees here for so long, waiting for Blink to push out the lane so they can get some pressure on that top lane. They're going to have to start taking back already. Blink is going to be coming back. He starts leading things off with the Tornado, trying to push EG back, but already on to the actual Raxes without Wings doing anything in return. Ice is about to go uphill with his wards, so if Evil Genius is going to be able to finish off this lane of Rax, they need to do it now and start getting back. Cass goes out, trying to slow down Sumail. Wings are looking to be able to try and make sure that Evil Geniuses can't actually back out and defend their top lane, hoping to make a trade of Rax. RT is going to be forced back.
Invoker's
Evil
so good at
Geniuses.
In between the Ice Wall and the Tornado and then a Deafening Blast, they actually could not, and he catches out.
He's going to be grabbed up here. There goes an Overgrowth. That's going to be able to stall up some of Wings, and they did manage to keep their ranged Rax alive at the same time top lane.
Cap, we should switch mics.
What's up?
AC seems to be the item of choice for the Alchemist, so now he's sitting at 39 armor as EG go for round number 2. There are no Mass Serpent wards up, nor is the top lane in position, and it looks like Wings will either have to fight or concede this lane of Rax. They still have the Glyph up, however, but EG are rolling down the lane. 2.5 minutes left on Aegis. They should be very happy about this opportunity that they've been granted.
Beyond, but Evil Genius is still in the middle of this fight. He's looking for that Death right now. Juggernaut going in right there with little HP. Finally, Universe finishes him off, protecting the tree protector, but the Sumail is going to be forced back. It's like it's only the RCC. They're both Juggernaut trying to take him out. And it's still Big God and the Fog. There's the Fog keeping their Rax alive. Evil Geniuses start staying back. Melee Rax still at 1,000 HP.
And with that round, Wings just really don't have that much left. Juggernaut already used his buyback, and they did get rid of the Aegis, but Alchemist seems to be unstoppable at this point, unless he gets ward trapped at this moment, but Force Staff will push him to safety. Juggernaut kind of left out on his lonesome.
Inside the Cogs, managed to get forced out of the Cogs. They're going to be slowing down onto him. Evil Geniuses are forced back once again.
So we're in the process of switching mics. Hopefully it comes up before this next fight, but I don't think it will. Sumail still at the front lines, and the Mass Serpent wards are about to expire. EG still have not gotten this prized melee rack despite several minutes of sieging. How's it going, Cap?
It's going all right, Ben. All right, new headset, everybody. We're back. I'm sorry. I don't know if I went out on stream.
But hello, Theater. I love you guys. Jump in, Universe. Infested up. Arteezy pops out. They actually latch onto nothing there. They're going to try and get Ice instead, but he's Ghost Sceptered up. There's no physical damage coming out. And Evil Geniuses, they've been caught. Arteezy, he gets the disruption and temporary reprieve. He's going to be force stabbed out of the cogs, but Sumail, he's trying to create something. Universe goes in big time with a crush. Sumail turns, but it's just not enough. The Omni Slash, it finishes up Universe and EG. They're lacking an offlaner now as they go forward for this push. So many of the heroes of Wings are low, but Arteezy, he's trying to dare Wings to go onto him, and without the rage, they might just oblige. They're moving forward. Ice turns, sees Sumail instead, but they've been taken out by the Shivas. Everybody's so low from Wings. The damage over time from EG is too much to handle. Arteezy dies. He gets zapped out by the shock. Sumail is still good, and he's going to be able to regen up, particularly with that living armor. They are good, but Wings inevitably will be holding on to this melee Rax. EG are trying to force it so badly, but Wings, they stand strong for now against the boys in blue.
What amazing usage of Force Staffs, Ghost Scepters, everything that they had just to hold that Rex, and alive it stands at the end of the day. 750 HP, but that was their toughest test, I would say, this game. I mean, it could get a lot rougher, but that's the one that you're most scared of. The push with the Aegis, the 2 Scepters recently come out, all of this net worth on Alchemist, and the buyback on the Jug, that was the most crucial one. And Shadow played it very, very well to stay alive through that fight because Crit was just eyeing him with the Demonic Purges constantly waiting for him. But they got too much damage on the Lifestealer, and without the Lifestealer, they can't actually kill the Juggernaut during the spin.
Sumail had so much gold. Did you see him? He was rocking like 9k gold. He's like, Abyssal Blade? Yeah, sure, that's not a problem. I can go ahead and pick that one up, full up, still have buyback gold to be able to work around with.
But now they just have an AC in the bank. I think he had AC before, and now Lifestealer has it, so they just, kind of have to sack the gold.
Didn't he trade out the Armlet? I think that was the replacement.
He had Armlet, then he traded out for AC, and then now he traded out for Abyssal Blade.
All right.
So that's a lot of, you never really want to sell anything more than like 2,000 gold. But when you're an Alchemist, you have no choice. You got to beef it up.
I mean, Arteezy still needs an Abyssal Blade of his own.
Smoke coming in, Crit.
Ice looking to make that initiation, but he can't quite get it. The rage is too fast, and now Ice in some serious trouble, and a mid-poke shot. Arteezy pops down Hello, gonna be able to take out that support, but unfortunately the cold snap, oh no, of course snap, it actually saves it and puts him right on top of the support, gobbles him down and backs away. The rest of Evil Geniuses start surging forward. I say surge, but it's a snail's pace, as that Ice Wall keeps them from being able to come forward. Faith Beyond's gonna be the hero caught, it seems. Blink doesn't even blink, he just keeps on running. He knows his supports are all gone, as is his offlaner. No buyback there for 2 of them. The Witch Doctor can buy back if he wants to, but it's just for a melee Rax at bottom lane. Are EG going to force 2?
Such a botched initiation from Wings, and they just all felt like pins as soon as the Lifestealer got its rage off. And now melee Rax under siege again, and no buybacks on the Clockwork or the Shadow Shaman, but Shadow Shaman's up in just a few seconds. Can Alchemist stall this out?
My goodness, Sumail is attacking so slow. But he's hitting relatively hard enough to take down this melee Rax in all due time. Faith Beyond still down for 30 seconds. The question is, are EG feeling lucky? Are they going to go for the second high ground? Take that second lane of Rax with only 20 seconds left on the clock.
Invoker still doesn't have his full toolkit to deal all the damage in the team fight with the Refresher Orb. And Clockwork is going to be up in 14, but they're not going to wait for that to happen.
Tornado EMP. Arteezy going to be forced to rage here. And they get some irreparable damage onto the range Rax, but they do call it a day as Faith Beyond is coming back up. Evil Geniuses resetting their positioning. They're actually going to full out back as Arteezy is going to head on back to, I believe, get his Abyssal Blade.
They have to kill this Invoker. Invoker is the only thing keeping them from touching these buildings. And Shadow can easily be dealt with in between Roots and Demonic Purge. He should easily die, spin or no spin. He'll get his Omni Slash off, but aside from that, he should be dead to rights. But this Invoker is just buying so much time for him. And with the Aug's Ring, their problems are compounding.
I mean, as you said, he doesn't even have not just the Refresher, but also that big AoE Deafening Blast. We're still waiting on that as well. And maybe a Blink Dagger. So this Invoker can still scale so much, but Evil Geniuses seeming will keep up the pressure. They're going to be able to get both an Aegis and Cheese into their hands. I'm not sure who's going to be holding this, though. Lifestealer will go ahead and pick up the Aegis. Cheese going to be grabbed by Crit for now, ready to pass it off when needed.
And this next fight could be another big one. And Alchemist might throw his life and try and buy back, because that's a pretty good use of gold that they have. So maybe save one of your Midases for that. I think that could actually be a pretty big play in the team fight if they can stop him from TPing in. I guess he could just buy BAT2s, but I'm not sure if he has enough for that and dying and buyback at the same time. But looks like they'll just be spreading around the map. I see a lot of red leaves on the map and a lot of Alchemist illusions heading towards the Radiant base.
Go ahead, take a look at that EG vision. You're going to be feeling real comfortable if you're Evil Geniuses, knowing that Wings are just never likely to be able to push out, not only with this constant pressure at mid lane revealing heroes, but all this vision based around various jungle spots where those eyes are laid out. Fresh BKB for Universe means he's going to have likely a much higher impact in these lanes. Oh, bunch of tomes.
He needs level 22. He skilled does. Max Exor, so he actually does not have it at level 21. And I don't think he's going to get 22 before his next fight, even with the 8 of a Midas. Yeah, I don't think that's enough to make up that almost 1,000 experience gap.
We'll see if maybe Wings can get the right kind of initiation. Maybe they can actually get the first pick. 900 experience needed for Blink at this point, a little bit less now. EG starts setting up. They know they've got this this big old tier 3 tower. They can go ahead and start chipping it away with these illusions. They don't necessarily need to make any huge commitment. They're actually looking towards that range racks as well. Anytime they try and defend the range racks, get some damage on the tier 3, but now the jump forward comes forward. They're actually going to push him out of the wards. Unfortunate, and there is Juggernaut. He just gets exploded, and all of a sudden EG is just going to be able to come forward and take out so many of these heroes. Bolt Support is going to be caught easily with the crush. All their hopes lay on the Invoker now, but there's nothing he can do without the damage. Evil Geniuses, Swift comes through and takes this game 1. Wings with nothing they can do but watch their Raxes explode and inevitably their Ancients.
Universe, as steady as always, getting that crush on the end onto Shadow. Shadow, he went full tanky with this build, but just not enough. There was so much minus armor on the side of EG that if he just makes one mistake like he did right then, he's just gonna die.
Wings, they tried to go ahead and shut down the Alchemist farm or match it with their 2 cores, but it seems like the efficiency of Evil Geniuses does play out in this game number 1. Merlini, your thoughts after this game 1? It was a long one. Wings, they had some botched initiations. They seemed a little shaky at some points. You still have confidence, though, for Wings going into game 2?
I think it plays more towards like how EG have developed past the group stage, and you mentioned like now they actually realize their strengths and know their weaknesses too. So picking something like Alchemist when they're known to be really good at playing the greed game and winning in this fashion, I think it sets up for an interesting draft, at least for game number 2.
Certainly interesting. I'm sure our analysts have some ideas about what game number 2 has in store for us. Alex, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, let's not forget, 3 of the panel did say Wings were going to take the series, boys. So there's probably some sweaty palms here on the desk. What did you guys do predictions? Melini, what did you say?
I put Wings, at least in my bracket.
Okay.
I had EG 2-1.
Oh, okay, we've got a split
in your
caster
bracket
desk.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
I think it's like 51-49, right? You really can't, like, predictions are like, there's only so much you can do about this.
Hey, that's what social media said. It literally was 51-49. It's so close, both in audience and panel. So we'll go ahead and snatch it. I'll leave you two to discuss your differences about your predictions. Beautiful. That was, of course, Cap and Melini. They'll be casting the next game of the series, as already one does start flying for EG. Yes, how are you feeling, Winter, about that Wings prediction?
Still have faith.
Still faith. Still faith.
Still have faith.
Now, what was it? The first thing you said is that as the GGs came out in chat, you looked at that and you said that there's no way to really win that in that scenario. What were you suggesting? Just Alchemist?
Yeah, just Alchemist things. The game just went too long for Wings. They had a push strat, Witch Doctor, Exalt Invoker, and Shaman, but they couldn't really finish the game off before the Alchemist became too hard to handle.
So is that the beauty of it then, Fog? You can just put a timer on it. Just by picking Alchemist, there's a timer on the game. Yeah,
it puts a timer on the game. They also fought really well. Like Wings had a really big timing window where they had the Aegis and they're going for that tower push, and then the Aegis ticks out. They push a little bit too far aggressive, and yeah, that's pretty much where Blink gets caught out as the Invoker. He doesn't have the Aegis. They didn't have any reveal for the 4 heroes that were Nature's guys on the sidelines, and that's pretty much where it started becoming extremely difficult for them to really come back. Their entire aggression just got halted there in its tracks, and then EG the Alchemist just farmed, gave a bunch of Aghanims, and then the game becomes super difficult when you're playing versus a tree who picks up an early gem, dewards you all over the place, and then he gets Ags, and he's able to put trees as well later on. It's just it's a very hard game for Wings to play.
I like the draft because the Alchemist Ags is great on Shadow Demon and great on Tree, and
Yeah.
neither of whom is likely to farm one up in any reasonable game. So it's like, yeah, we pick Alk, and then our supports can just support, but then they'll get an Axe. Like it's perfect. It's a really smart lineup. But I thought EG played it perfectly, and it plays into their strengths. They like this kind of late game stuff, and they like having these ultra farmed heroes that can just sort of siege you. That's like their strength, I think.
I was a bit like concerned because of like how many melee heroes they had, and the picks because of the Wings did with the Clockwork Rust and all this. Like difficult to kill the wards, getting caught in cogs is really powerful, but EG just fought straight through it. They didn't show like it mattered that they had so many melees.
I think the fact that they've got their SD to help save, and they had 4 staffs to get people. I mean, we saw a bunch of good 4 staffs and stuff to sort of save people. So I think, I get it. I think Wings lineup was good, but I just think EG outplayed them, honestly.
It was just like one team executing their strat, and the other team couldn't really end the game on time.
So with Wings then, one of the kind of exciting parts of the draft, it was right in the last pick, we got a little excited because Shadow Shaman showed his weary head. There was a smile on your face when you saw that pick, Winter, but did it do what it was intended to? Did Ice fulfill his role with that particular hero?
I think he did. It's just the whole strat was very difficult. Once, like, he already did his job, but they couldn't really go for the high ground. And one thing I think I wanted to comment is the Treant armor making it very difficult for them to finish the game as well. Like every time they siege, they do some chip damage, and there's the Treant armor to heal the towers. So you are a team that wants to finish the game, and there's this Treant armor. It makes it very difficult for you.
And Treant is something we didn't see too much in the group stage. Now it seems to be a bit more commonplace. In fact, it did even show up in the series that EG and Wings played over at the Summit 6. Seems to be something that does work well within their style of play. Fogs, what lessons have we learned here? First series done, Wings had some form of strategy, and is the only takeaway seriously that they ran out of time? Alchemist got too big?
I think they ran out of time. Maybe they're looking back and be like, maybe we should have drafted the AA sooner. Maybe just a different hero instead of the Shadow Shaman could have worked out better. It was definitely just an Alchemist problem for sure. Yep. Even though the Alchemist was first 2 drafted, it just was EG played really well around it.
Very YOLO, like all in for the push, when they picked the Shadow Shaman.
And this is kind of like off topic a bit, but we didn't see Veno picked. And Veno was banned against EG every single game. Veno is their staple, and they completely ignored it. They had a completely different strategy in mind, just playing with the Alchemist Tree Shadow Demon. It's kind of cool.
I mean, they played like a Veno Warlock kind of thing. Is that the lineup that they were playing?
It's true. I mean, that is exactly what they played in. I'm going to keep coming back to the Summit just because this was the last head-to-head, but they was played twice, actually, out of 3 games for EG. And now, with it available, they chose not to take it. I guess that's probably a good sign, right?
Did they play it against Cole? I'm trying to remember what the lineups were against the Complexity games, but if it didn't work, whatever the lineups that didn't work against Cole, but they played Lifestealer a lot against Complexity.
They did Wisp Lifestealer, I think, 3 games.
Yeah.
But Veno was banned every single one. But yeah, I mean, they just maybe seeing this Alchemist work in such high favor for everybody, and it's just like maybe we're going to see some Alchemist bans coming out earlier.
And if you want to see big numbers from Alchemist, we can bring up the scoreboard. I think 1,200 or close to it for Samael, who was just Mr. Moneybags roaming around. In fact, let me check it. Yes, indeed.
1176.
That's
crazy high.
But
that's some GPM.
That doesn't count the Aghanims that he has already fed to his team, right? It doesn't count the 2 Aghanims. He bought one for Shadow Demon, and he bought one for Zai on the Treant.
Do you lose your GPM? I know you lose your net worth.
Yeah, you lose
the GPM too, then I guess? Yeah, it makes sense.
So you got to add that on. Someone who's good at maths could do that. Let me just do that. Hold on. He did the maths, as OD likes to say, right? No, I can't.
Oh, I was literally sitting there like, oh, come on then, Ted. Let's see what you got. No, all right.
How long was the game? I'd need to know the minutes. You could work.
Oh my God! Good luck, Ted.
We are not doing that. But he is going to be the man of the moment. Samael has been selected as MVP. Not a single death.
Yeah, don't forget about the early game, the start. He got his career sniped. His bottle was in the career.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was cold.
Everything that happened in the early game, and he was still able to be very composed. I mean, that wasn't even the worst start I've seen him. Like the worst start I've seen him do was DAC.
DAC, yeah.
He got wrecked so much in the lane, but he still came back. That's like a great player, when you're down, when you're having a very difficult early game, you still find some way to get back into the game.
Just overcoming adversity, something that we know Samael is capable of. And as the analysts keep reminding us, EG, a team full of stars. They pick up their first victory in this series and are just one away from taking Wings Gaming out of the Boston Major. We'll be talking more about that in just a moment, but first, word on the street is Purge is going to shed some light on some of that gameplay. You got something good for us today?
Yeah, I'm glad you guys were talking about the mid lane matchup because that's actually what I wanted to look at.
Ooh, sick. Take it away.
benefits of Alchemist, very hard to get killed once you buy Poor Man's Shield, lots of base HP, very easy for you to get last hits with Quelling Blade and Acid Spray. And against an Invoker, normally Invoker has some issues with that because he's pretty low armor himself, so Acid Spray does a lot of damage. So if you really focus on the way that Blink has been playing the laning stage, it's very much about right-clicking your opponent. And the entire reason of doing this is just to get them low in case there's opportunity to be had. So even though the laning stage starts off okay, Sumail has the right items, Blink has the right items, constantly auto-attacking him. If there's not a deny to be had or a last hit to be had, he's going to be hitting Sumail. That got incredibly important, especially when the courier got sniped, because Sumail's trying to bring in a bottle, gives him regen, gives him mana pool increase as well to cast more acid sprays. But because that got sniped, all of these early right clicks ended up being really important, especially when Blink even picked up an illusion rune, even more right click to have. And here's Sumail doing his best to last hit, but he's only level 4 at the moment. He's got to wait all the way until level 6 to get his ultimate to be actually survivable. And once he got to this later game portion, another minute later, Blink pretty much could just deny whatever he wanted. Sumail didn't even feel comfortable coming up for last hits. And that's all because Blink did a lot of harassment and because of the courier snipe. And if you take a look in the upper left, huge amount of denies coming out of Invoker in the early game. Oops, cut it off a little bit, but it's that 9 over there, I swear to God, it's that one. So yeah, back to you, Machine. I know you don't have a lot of experience getting last hits just yet, but hopefully that was helpful to you.
Idea.
Thanks very much, Purge. Yes, indeed, the mid-game was important. Sumail still managed to bounce back. That's what's so beautiful about this roster. The Evil Geniuses destroying their adversaries. Destroying, strong word, I admit. But
defeating.
We'll take that one instead.
Destroying, I think it kind of fits. That game was pretty commanding by EG, to be
Do you
honest.
think it was? I mean, surely, I mean, at the early game, there was still some faith in the...
Yeah, definitely. During the early game, but then as soon as it hit that, like, right after they got the Aegis and they got that push, you could see it was, like, incredibly impossible.
Was that when you started putting
anything.
your jacket on and started heading back
Yeah,
up?
we're like, all right, let's go.
Right, okay. We do look cool. Like, I almost want to be walking in slow motion as we all put our jackets on and start walking towards
We could do
the
that.
desk. Yeah?
Yeah.
Can make it happen.
Well, let's get back into the dotes, because one of the things you did whisper in my ear, Winter, as we do just whisper to one another, was
Ooh.
yeah,
That,
nice.
that wasn't public information.
Oh, I'm sorry. You keep forgetting what is and isn't common knowledge. But yeah, me and Winter whisper, and you were talking about Invoker. You were suggesting that are you surprised by how little we're seeing it, or do you want to see it more?
No, I just wanted to use that game as an example why teams are shying away from the hero, because the hero can't really pressure the enemy like mid laner. Like against an Alchemist, you really want a hero that it's like kind of like an Ursa or Timber, but they will both ban out. Against EG ban out against the Alchemist. You don't want the Alchemist to be in a very bad matchup, man. Even though if you don't look at Alchemist, if you talk about Invoker against like OD, you struggle against OD. Like against all the other matchup and TA, you don't have a good laning phase, and that was what happened. And against the Alchemist, you want to storm him in the lane, otherwise the Radiance and everything just comes, and the game will be very difficult.
So the kind of the battle for the second game is going to be trying to find an answer for Alk. I mean, let's take it away. Is that a safe assumption that we're going to be seeing EG try something different? I mean, excuse me, not EG Wings. They're surely going to have to kind of back to the drawing board here, or is it?
We know they've got strats. I mean, you know that they're the kind of team that learns super quickly. Like they'll try something, it doesn't work out, they'll go to plan B through F. They've got a bunch of plans. So it'll be I really love this when a team like Wings goes a game down to see what they come back with. I think a lot of more inexperienced teams maybe just kind of maybe try to change up what they had before very slightly, but they might come back with something completely different.
They rarely draft the same thing. And they also are probably looking at more than just the Alchemist, though, because the Alchemist was definitely an issue, but everything else enabled him.
Probably was a playstyle thing, do you think? Because they chose to go for a more push playstyle in the first game, and then it didn't work against what EG had, obviously, because of the Alchemist. So they might, go for maybe a slower game, late game, or they go for a faster kind of game. You don't try to push the enemy, but you are always constantly looking for kills, just like how VP plays.
Sure.
You don't have to push to apply pressure, but you can always constantly look for kills.
So what do you think Wings need to think about here? What they're going to ban the Alk, surely?
Yeah.
Or do they have to try and maybe pick AA
I think
or something?
they might not ban the Alk.
I don't think they might. Yeah.
You think they'll just let him through?
Maybe third or fourth, but definitely not in the first two.
Okay.
I wouldn't think so.
Ooh. So is that just because even despite its impact, there's higher priority bans? Is that what you're suggesting?
No, I don't think the hero was a problem. I think it was the approach.
Exactly.
That was a bigger issue with that.
Wonderful stuff. We have got some questions from social media. Let's have a little look if there's anything juicy coming in from that world. It's going to be coming in from Lee. He says, does this meta prove patches deserve a longer time to settle and evolve? A fantastic question. Of course, for those uninitiated, the patch is just a slightly different, of course, still 6.88 from TI6, where Wings did pick up the victory. And now, same patch, meta has shifted. He's asking,
this is
important?
a really good patch, though. Like
Everyone-
you're looking at
everyone's happy with this.
arguably the best patch that there's ever been in Dota. So it's deserved in many ways a good long run. And yeah, we're still finding new things out about it and tweaks and things like that. But can you guys not remember patches that we were desperate for them to end? Like we were like, God, this has to end soon. So if we gave 6 months to every patch, I'd probably kill myself. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of Ted, but what about you guys from the player's perspective, Fog?
I mean, I think it is patch dependent. Like this one was so great that you can say like this one could have gone for, yeah, this length is perfectly fine, but for some other patches it was horrible. Like you can't let it go that long. So it's really patch dependent. It's like if it's really stale, if you're seeing the same like 20 heroes every single game, then you're definitely going to be wanting some changes up. But if you're seeing this type of variety, it's cool. It's great for the viewers.
Yeah,
it's great for
it's
us. It's great for everybody.
What about you, Winter?
The thing is, like, players got better too. So maybe a specific hero that did not work in the past patch could work now because players are better.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's no real at this point in time, there's no strong words against this patch. Everyone agrees this is one of the more competitive patches we've seen.
It's my favorite patch.
Yeah,
Your
there's no
favorite
way.
patch?
There's
my
really
favorite.
nothing you could say about this patch. You'd say, oh, they should have done it. I mean, there are obviously tweaks and maybe
Sure.
some things could be very slightly better, but I mean, geez, you've got to balance so much. You've got to balance all those heroes, all those items. It's ridiculous. So they've done a brilliant job. This really was a tremendous patch, gave us the best TI, and now hopefully a really good major.
And and already this major has had no shortage of upsets. We'll see if we get a full 3 games in just a moment. But first, we have another question coming in from the world, from you guys at home. You can, of course, keep throwing them at us with the hashtag Boston Major. Most stable region right now and reasons why. That's coming in from Lorlian. Most stable region. I mean, is there not an argument to be made for Wings because they've actually kept their roster together?
But that's just one
That's just
team.
one
yeah, that's
team.
just one team.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
not a whole region.
A
I
lot
guess.
of the Chinese teams have kind of been all over the place. You could say the same thing about most teams have been. I mean, look, you couldn't say that the CIS region is particularly stable. You got VP, but other than that, it's kind of up
a
and
toss-up.
down. NA Dota, we've restructured a lot of teams, so
Is there a most stable region?
no.
See?
I don't think so.
UK Dota.
I don't think there is one. I don't think
UK
you can say that.
Dota.
UK
Yeah.
Dota represents.
Solid as a rock.
If you don't win TI, you want to change your roster.
Yep.
A lot of the teams will be thinking of changing unless you win. So even if you win TI, that's just one team that actually won TI from that region, and everyone else wants to change.
It is just a battle to find the
Yep.
formula that works. And so there is, in answer to your question, I'm getting the vibe that there is no stable region. That's,
Yeah.
that's
I would
it.
say yeah, there definitely isn't. That's and that's
a
the
tough,
why.
Yeah, this is a tough time of year to ask. Like they're
Yes.
saying, post TI is like everybody redoes everything. So